This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free. Hey y'all, it's so good to see you. I missed y'all yesterday, but I really needed a break for a little bit. I needed to rest a little bit and get my stuff together. My house is clean. I'm happy. Everybody is good. I am so glad to see y'all today. I did miss y'all terribly. Like I really did. I almost went live last night because I missed y'all so bad, but I was like, no, we'll just wait and do it tomorrow. I still needed to get my stuff together too. So I think I've got everything together that I want to discuss today. So let me say hey to y'all. Hey, Hannah UK, Edith, Natalie, Bogart, Abella, Southern Cats, Mike Philbin, Joyous N, Ali X, Mega Moshi, Barb Murray, again with my lovely Abellas, and my lovely Jenny Jen, Queen Olive, Ruth Ann, Anders, So Hard to See, Brenda, Fawny, Bad Girl, Hilsandra, Orange Rose, Bartman, Harsh Times, I like that, A Small Weed, Deb H, Joy, good to see you, good to see you, Mary Brown, Joy, Ava Slim, Mad Monkey, Fred Field, Real King Attorney, Jill Corby, Ali X, Overprotected, Lori Green. I think that's about all I see so far. All in Tanks, good to see you. Irene, good to see you. Edith, Diane Cat, Jennifer Collins. I am so glad to see you guys. Let's look at we'll look at the hyoid bone at some point today. Actually, I'm going to try to pull up her cause of death as well. So for today, I have gotten together a few videos. Sorry, I went through the jail calls. Let me explain that a little better. And I pulled some clips from the jail calls. They're kind of in no particular order. I kind of just sped through them and tried to get, what was important out of the ones that I have put out so far. I tried to get all that stuff together and some things I want to talk to you about. The theme is I titled it Conspiracies because, I feel like Stephan is trying to tell his parents things in these jail calls that they kind of just don't want to hear. And I think Deb has just lost all freaking sense of reality, touch with reality, any kind of normal thought process. I don't know if the dealing with this is touched her in some kind of way, or if she was always like this. If I had to guess, I would say she's probably always been like this, and that's why Stephan is the way he is. With that, let's go ahead and talk about these clips that I've got to get today. Hello, Michael the Realist, Sarah Lee, good to see you. This is barely my second live chat here. I was here on your last live chat a few days ago. Oh, I'm glad to see you. Thank you for being here, love. Yeah, Deb has dementia or something. I don't know. The hyoid bone breaks during strangulation. Oh my goodness. Hey, Genevieve. Deb is her own dimension queen.
I don't want you to go to prison, but if you're just in jail waiting trial, I don't know why you can't feel an ankle bracelet and come home.
Because
Suffer. Okay. Yeah, we suffer too. We suffer right along with you.
Yeah. If I went home, that'd be, too tempting for me to do something and not go to trial, probably. So they want to make sure that they have their eyes on me at all times.
Now, right there, of course, Deb has to make it about herself by saying, we suffer too, which I find just absolutely not surprising at all. And then I noticed, you pick up on different things every time you listen to these calls. And I noticed that he said it might be too tempting for me to do something and not come to trial. So they have to keep their eyes on me at all times. He's referencing ending his own life. I thought that was interesting. I think she was the tie-dye that dyed the wool and dyed the wool that way. Possibly. Ignored not the Lord. I got to stop using talk to text. I do that a lot and it makes it crazy for me too, especially with my accent. Mad Monkey said, honestly, even if Sloppy Stearns admitted to his parents what he'd done, especially Debbie, would try to justify it and continue to blame it on someone else. Yep, and that's pretty much what we're going to be discussing today.
Well, then why is it in a bracelet?
Why isn't Jen in a
But, you
bracelet?
know, I wouldn't waste too much energy having any sort of grudge or hurt feelings against her. She's suffering too in her own way, so.
Not as much as you are, sweetheart.
Well, you know, she lost her daughter.
Yeah?
Her whole world was turned upside down too.
So I don't know right here if he's like covering for Jen or like, I mean, obviously he has some type of emotional connection with her. They've been together for 7 years, and I'm noticing, and this is, you know, the first time so far that we talked about today, but he's trying to say, you know, hey, kind of leave Jen alone. She's suffering as well. I know I'm in jail, but she's suffering too. She lost her daughter. You know, and then Deb's about to come in and say, well, you lost someone you love too. Yeah, but it's not his daughter. He didn't love her. That's not love. That's abuse. And I have a whole plethora of issues with that statement. Mary Brown said, in my opinion, Stephan has no process and disconnect from the crime or minimizing his involvement. Yep. Sarah said, thank you. I appreciate that. I know you guys haven't banned me like YouTube did. I got in trouble. I don't remember being that bad, but I guess it was. Oh, no. Hey, Monochrome. Deb is just like Chris Watt's mom. I've heard a lot of people say that. Did Sarah come in? If Sarah's here, hey, Sarah. Hey, Mallory Beavers. Hey, Natalie.
You know?
And you lost, you know, a wonderful person that you love too.
Yep. But everyone's world got turned upside down by this. No one is having a good time here. Just remember that, you know?
Has she tried to call you, or have you called her?
No. In fact, I'm under a strict no contact order during at least the trial. I'm not legally not supposed to contact her at all.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much standard operating procedure.
Okay.
Hey, NHS.
And I'm almost kind of glad you guys aren't able to visit me or haven't come to visit me, because I feel like if you were to see my face.
Well, it's just that, you know, they say that sometimes when you know, like children, that you have been an abused child, and it was.
So he's making it about himself. He's protecting Jen, and now we're going to talk about him liking children.
Intimated that perhaps we had abused you in some way.
No, he has never did. And strictly speaking, I'm not actually into younger people like that. As you know, I don't even like most kids. So
I mean, 35,000 and 1,700 images say a lot different. Again, minimizing your involvement. I don't like most kids, and it's hard for him to say the word children or child, especially when referencing Maddie in a lot of these calls. Mallory shared her milestone, been a member for 4 months. That is so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today. That was so very sweet and kind of you. Mallory said, just got in, y'all. Thank you for being a light for Maddie. Oh, thank you guys for being a light for Maddie. Yeah, my email is allegedly speculating at Gmail, just like my name is. Yeah, just little girls. That's all.
it's just hard to feel a generalized attraction towards any of them.
Was it just her, or was it other people as well?
I can't get into specific details, but no, it was not a thing with anybody. It was.
I would love to know what that redacted part said. That's redacted right there. It wasn't. I think he had an obsession with Maddie. I think personally that he had always been attracted to children in some way, shape, or form, and he was overly obsessed with Maddie. Tracy said never liked kids, but was live streaming Madeline on Telegram at midnight before the homicide was committed. That is a speculation. Natalie said, oh my God, I can't believe he had this conversation on a jail phone call. I can't believe he had a lot of conversations he had and said a lot of things he had. I think the defense attorney is going to rip his throat out. Hey, Heather Petty, Strategic sent you to me. Well, that was so sweet. I loved Strategic. He's awesome. Hey, Julie and Tati. Good to see y'all.
All right, got it.
But I don't want to get too much into details or
Yeah, I know.
confirm or deny anything officially, anything that could possibly be used against me. I mean, I haven't seen the inside of a courtroom yet, so it'd be kind of stupid to be making anything that could be construed as an admission of guilt.
Well, you already
Yeah,
did
no,
that.
I was just wondering who I needed to go mama bear on if they had hurt you as a child.
No, unfortunately.
You know, Stephan, I could never have imagined that we would all be in this situation. I just couldn't. There's no way I could have ever even.
So, Jill, I'll tell you, we talked about last time. I was listening to Grizzly the other day, and she said there is a rumor that Jen has put money on Stephan's account under an alias of some sort. And that goes back to when we were going through the audios on the last live. I pointed out how she's in every single interview. She denies that Madeline would ever take her medication alone. She says that Madeline is always watched while she's taking her medication, that there's no way she could take too many pills or too little pills or get things confused at all whatsoever. But then in the immunity interview, everything changed. And she said, oh, Maddie does take her medicine alone sometimes. And she has gotten them confused before. And for me, it was like, okay, did she know what Stephan was saying his defense was going to be? Because that's part of the defense. Either she took too much medication, either by choice or somebody else did it to her. And it was odd to me how Jennifer basically laid out in every interview. That was one of the few things that was consistent throughout the interviews, is that Madeline never took her medication alone. And then in the immunity interview, it was, oh, yes, she does sometimes. So I think they're definitely talking to each other. I think that they have been talking to each other and relaying things. And I think it's a big issue. And I think that it'll be brought up in court. Crime All the Time sent a super sticker, and it's a little fox that looks like a ninja with some fans, and it is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate that. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. Thank you so much. Hey, Zan. But yeah, I cannot confirm that she is using an alias to put money on his account. It would not surprise me, however, because they have a need for each other, an addiction to each other, I would say, and not for love, attraction, or sex. It's more of a, I don't know, like a friendship addiction, or please don't tell them what you know about me kind of addiction. We do speculate over here, and I do want to state that everything stated is speculation, and please make sure you're stating it as such. We don't want to get in trouble, and I'll put the banner up. All right, so let's continue.
Even visualize this. This is awful.
Yeah, me either, to be honest.
Joyous just gifted 10 Speculation Station memberships. That was so sweet and supportive of you. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. That was so sweet. I really appreciate that. Those went to Natalie Perani, Marion Patton, JC, Wasteland. I like that name. Faith, Simone, C Moon, Yanni Granny, Frank Reeve, Kieran Marr, Big Pops. If you were gifted a membership by Joyous and you are aware, please tell them thank you, and I'll pick y'all up on the crazy train on the way to Speculation Station. Thank you so much, Joyous. Veden's Simonia said codependent, and yes, I agree with that 100%. They were very much codependent on each other. Thank you. That was so very sweet of you, Joyous. I really appreciate that.
Well, I mean, things kind of went sideways, whatever happened with, so you knew that was going to go down a rat hole.
Yeah, well, I never in a million years that she would not be around anymore, so.
Yeah. So once that went sideways, whatever happened, that was all she wrote.
Yeah,
Obviously.
well, I can handle a lot of things.
Not in.
What's that?
I said, Bill has not been heard from except for an interview she did with a newspaper where she told everybody that she did sleep with you guys and she said to sleep with you in the other room.
So he's talking about what happened, that he never ever thought in a million years that that would happen, and how he can handle a lot of things, but not Madeline's death. And she's changing it to Jen. It's Jen's fault. This is Jen's fault. This is why it's Jen's fault. Why haven't the police talked to Jen? Jen sent her to sleep with you. Never mind the fact that that's a grown-ass man sleeping in bed with a child and abusing her from the age of 6 up. It's Crash Pink.
As I was going to say, I can handle a lot of things, but one thing I just can't reconcile or figure out in my mind or wrap my head around is the fact that, he doesn't get to live anymore. There were a lot of things that I wanted to see for her, She had another year or so before high school. Learning how to drive, figuring out what she wanted to do with her life. I was excited to see where she was going, I was really impressed with the person that she was finally growing into.
Well, got a whole lot to talk about, a lot to own up to.
Well,
and again, he's saying, talking about Maddie, how he wanted to see who she was going to grow up and be into. And immediately with Deborah, it is, Jen's got a lot to talk about too. She's got a lot to own up to.
again, I know you can't talk about this, but it's like, it almost sounds like you didn't know something had happened to her.
Well, I discovered her.
Hey, Indy.
In the state that she was in after everything was said and done. So, obviously I can't get into detail, but no, I was not aware that she had passed on. As you know, I'm up and down throughout the night, and I was not in the room the whole time.
Okay, so he was not aware that she had passed on. He states, as you know, I'm up and down throughout the night and was not aware that she had passed on. We're going to pause that right there for a minute, and we're going to look at this. I have a document to show you. So, hold on just a minute. It's loading. Let me get it pulled up for y'all. There it is. If you want these documents and jail calls, there's all kinds of stuff on my Patreon. You can get it there. I do believe it's linked in the profile. I will try to drop it in the description box. Okay, so we're going to look at the detailed information about the steps taken. Okay, so we're going to go right for this second. We're going to go to this part right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but the second paragraph, and it reads, detailed information about steps in health application for iPhone during the time frame between February 25th, 2024 at 8:30 p.m. and February 26th, 2024 at 4 p.m. So this is going to be, I do believe it's Maddie's phone. So the 25th at 10:09 p.m. there was 9 steps taken. The 25th at 11:19 there was 31 steps taken and 1 floor climbed, which matched the time when Jen sent Madeline and Stephan upstairs to go to sleep. The next morning at 7:05 is 113 steps. So it appears to me that, it appears to me that he was in there with her. I know this is her phone, but I thought it was Stephan's phone for some reason. But either way, why is he carrying her phone around at 7:05 in the morning and there's 113 steps taken? And then at 7:15 there's 50 more steps taken. 10:55 is 8 steps taken, which is when Stephan's back at the residence trying to figure out what to do. So what we can get at least is the time of death is between 11:19 and 7:05. Now at the bottom, this paragraph right here, I should have read that document first, but where it starts redacted, Stephan's phone was plugged into charge No, Maddie's phone was plugged into charge on the 25th at 11:38. Maddie's phone is unplugged from the charger at 7:04. The phone is powered off at 7:16. This is the pattern of Madeline's cellular phone use is not typical for her normal day, which shows this activity was not physically done by Maddie. On the 26th at 10:55 is the next time Maddie's phone is turned back on, which concludes the 8 steps moved at the same time. Stephan and Jen would have been the only people at the house in the time, and per Jen's statement, she was outside of her bedroom during this time, only seeing Stephan while he was doing laundry. Upon reviewing Stephan's cellular phone download, the following was observed. Okay, this is what we need. On the 26th at 12:12 a.m., a factory reset was done on the phone. This can only be accomplished by navigating to the settings option on the phone, tapping general management, swiping and tapping reset to tap the factory data reset, and then review the information. Once reviewing the information is complete, swipe and tap reset. If there's a password on the phone, at this time, the person would have to enter their password. This shows that Stephan could not have accidentally reset his phone, as it would have nothing to do with the phone update, as he stated during his previous statements made under oath. Another factory reset was done on the 27th at 1 a.m. This would have been the time frame of his last statements. So I think he was in there in the bedroom with her the entire time where her phone was. That's what I personally think. Natalie just gifted 5 Speculation Station memberships, and that was so very sweet and supportive of you. I really appreciate that so very much. Thank you for that. That was so sweet and supportive. Those went to Terry Corina, Jesse Lou, Twisted Quill, Jay Coverload, Seagate 1, and Bubbles of Bubbles. If you were gifted by Natalie, please tell her thank you, and I will play the Crazy Train and pick y'all up on the way to Speculation Station. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. Thank you so much, Natalie. Again, I really appreciate that. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. So I don't think that Stephan left the room at all that night, if I'm being quite frankly honest, especially considering she was strangled and her cause of death was a broken hyoid bone. While we're on this page, I do want to go back up to the very top, and it says on December 16th at either 12:47 or 1:47 a.m., Madeline sends a text message to Stephan that contained a photograph of 2 coins. The coins had the inscription of, quote, new parent decision coin, and appeared to be from Amazon. Madeline sends 2 follow-up texts to Stephan stating, we need this and get it for us, please. A search of Amazon for these coins revealed that these coins are for new parents, where one can flip a coin to decide if it's mother's or father's time to complete a task for a newborn. Due to the fact that this conversation was not near Father's Day or Mother's Day, leads one to believe that Madeline and Stephan had possibly spoke about conceiving a child. Now, we have all the information here that we need to put all of the pieces of this crime together. We have everything we need. It would be a lot easier if we had more information, but we have what we need to put this together. We won't know if it's speculation or the truth until court, but I mean, we have a lot of information here to figure these things out. Okay, hold on a minute. Let me pull this up real quick. We'll go ahead and read this next document. I can share this tab real quick and let me do that. This might give us some more idea about where Stephan was that night, all throughout the night. Okay, yeah, this was the one. I got it confused. This is the one that I wanted us to look at. Hold on, let me close this so it'll load. Why are you not loading? There you go. Okay. Indy sent a super sticker. Thank you so much for that. Oh, it's a little heart. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for the support. That was so very sweet of you. I really appreciate that. Y'all are so sweet and so kind. I love our speculating family. Thank you for that. So this is the one I do believe I was looking for and got it confused. But anyway, we're going to go to the second paragraph down right here. Upon reviewing, I'm going to assume Madeline's cellular phone download, the following was observed. Madeline would set an alarm at 7:30 hours on the days Nope. Okay, so let me take that back. Upon reviewing Jen's cellular phone download, the following was observed. Jen would set an alarm at 7:30 hours on the day that she would bring Madeline to school. There were messages between Jen and Stephan on the 25th, starting at 11:39, that stated the following. At 11:39, she texts Stephan and said, make sure she goes to bed right now. Stephan replies, okay, sweetie, good night. And we just saw that at 11:19, 31 steps were taken and 1 floor was climbed. So that means Madeline went up there. And then what is that? 20 minutes later, Jen's texting Stephan, make sure she goes to bed right now. Stephan says, okay, sweetie, good night. Jen replies, good night. At 11:40, which is probably 30 seconds later, he texts her and says she's built her nest and is settling in now. At 11:40, Jen replies, okay, good. These messages confirmed what Jen stated during interviews, that Stephan and Maddie were alone in his bedroom prior to her death the following morning. So he was in there all night prior to her death the following morning. He was in there alone with her all night. On the 25th, Jen set her cellular phone on a wireless charger at 11:54. On the 26th, Jen set an alarm to go off at 9 o'clock. The alarm was removed from the notification while still on the wireless charger. On the 26th at 9:19, Jen's cellular phone was physically removed from the wireless charger. This is consistent with her daily activities with removing the alarm notifications or snoozing the alarm. There were several other messages between Stephan regarding Madeline sleeping in the same room together. There was also text messages between Stephan and Jen claiming Stephan gave Madeline an extra dose of her medication when it was not necessary. So Stephan's given her extra doses of medicine. She's alone with him in the room prior to her death on the morning of the 26th. I don't know what you want to make of that. What I'm thinking is that he gave her, I honestly believe that it had been months since they had seen each other, right? Like they said they had not seen each other in months. It was shaping up to be a great weekend. They were really excited to spend time together because they had not seen each other in so long. I'm wondering if Stephan gave her like too much of her medication, but then it doesn't explain the strangulation. Like, I'm wondering if he gave her too much of her medication and she overdosed, and maybe he tried to strangle her to make the cause of death look different. Or he strangled her while he was doing God knows what to her, and she died that way. I don't know if he thought that, like, if he broke her neck or something like that, if it would make them not do a significant toxicology report. But taking into consideration they had not seen each other in months, and it was shaping up to be a good weekend, and they had all these plans. It's kind of like an addict when they go to rehab and then they get out and they decide to abuse substances again. They take the same amount that they took before they went into rehab, and their body is not used to taking that much anymore, so they overdose and die. So I'm wondering if he was giving her medication to abuse her. He gave her the same amount that he always gave her, and he overdosed her and died because it had been so long since anything had happened. I hate to be crass, but maybe she waited to get upstairs and alone with her to expose a small but growing belly, and he lost it. That's a possible speculation. I don't know why a 13-year-old would need help with her bedtime routine either. Yeah, it is confusing, and we won't know until court. This is all just speculation, but I don't know. That's my thoughts. I did post a link if anybody wants to come up. All right, let's get back into these calls.
And then it's not like you just suddenly feel someone's ghost pass away from them. It's a discovery. And
So she wasn't even in the same room with you?
well, she was in the room that I started in, but I'm up and down throughout the night, and I tend to wander around the house and fiddle around on my phone and step out front.
I really don't think he did that at all that night. Cajun Juju, we don't have the toxicology report. Steph said she was passed out and accidentally choked her while having his way with her. She was passed out from the substances and he didn't realize he broke her neck until he came back from smoking. Maybe. I think that's a possibility. Yeah, we don't have the toxicology report for that yet, Cajun. Drain me and fight me till I change my mind to benefit him, however that was. Then he would be so happy and say thank you. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm so sorry.
Feel the nice cool night air and all that. So I was gone from the room for, I mean, obviously I really can't get into too many details, but
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't discover what had happened until just around dawn.
Just around dawn.
Okay.
You know,
Interesting.
because I discovered that she was ice cold.
Well, all I can say, Stephan, is that my heart breaks for you because I know that's something that you never would have done and never would have wanted to have done to her. And
so again, it's Stephan is the victim. Let's make Stephan the victim. This child is deceased, and it's my heart breaks for you, Stephan, because I know that's something you never would have done or wanted done. Yet her hyoid bone is broken. So I would love for Deb to explain to me how that happened. Unless Stephan did it. Always the victim. I mean, he's telling her his version of events, which don't make sense, by the way, but that's his version of events, and she's going to make him the victim. As always, this is a pattern. This is generational, and it's the reason Stephan is the way he is.
I'm right.
neither would we.
I'm right.
I'm angry on your behalf that it happened, and I'm angry that you got dragged into it by them. So I'm just angry.
Dragged into it by them. He got dragged up to a bedroom alone with a 13-year-old girl and abused her, which is not even physically possible unless you want to do it, but it's still not his fault in Deb's mind. Okay.
Was there anybody else at the townhome that was not a regular person?
No, which is why I keep saying that I'm not sure that there's any one person honestly to blame.
Hey, Ashley.
But they're certainly trying to blame me. And according to the autopsy report, like I said, raises a lot more questions. But
there's not anybody to blame, but they're trying to blame me. I mean, and again, I don't think if the police were, if this legitimately happened and it was a possibility that Madeline took too much of her medication and let's say the hyoid bone was broken when he was using the leash to hold up her neck. Like, I would assume that the police have run all these scenarios and said, no, it doesn't work because of this. No, it doesn't work because of that. Like, you don't get premeditated first-degree homicide unless you did it. Like, I mean, I don't, of course, there's been innocent people who have been convicted of crimes, right? But, like, this is pretty cut and dry. In my opinion, if it was a possibility that she had done this to herself, I don't think that they would have charged him with premeditated first-degree homicide. You know, I think that it would be a possibility to be manslaughter or something like that. And of course, again, like I've said, we'll know more in court, but I just don't see that as a possibility. Why dump her? Why not call 911? And I mean, again, why don't you call 911? Well, because you committed a homicide. You committed a crime. There was illegal activity going on when the person left this place, left this earth. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense.
they seem to be settling on trying to say it's homicide.
First degree premeditated.
Right,
Okay.
so it has something to do with bones in her throat, but take that to mean what you will.
He doesn't deny it. He's quiet for a minute and is like passive about it, but he doesn't deny it. He sure did act guilty. He acted guilty AF.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But you know, I would never have done anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the same person that cried when I asked you to dispatch a little bird that broke its neck or something and was flopping around.
Yeah, you know, same person that cares about people, cries at movies.
He can be all of those things. He can be all of those things. This could be an accident on his part. I mean, it's possible that he was into some things and those things went too far. It's possible. He can be all those things, you know. He can still be a first degree premeditated homicide person that made a bad decision in a moment and that took this child's life. Well, it's not just that one bad decision, it's a plethora of bad decisions, but he can be all of those things, right?
Yes, I know.
And then there was Skippy.
Skippy, yeah. Rue.
Jaybird.
Jaybird, yep, I remember them all. I don't know, I think...
Well, I mean, I think whoever's involved in this needs to have justice served on them. I mean, if you're not part of this, then let's get that cleared up. I mean, it's not for you, but for the family.
I'm pretty positive that this was all an accident. I'm not sure that any one person is to blame. Maybe no one's to blame, or maybe everyone's to blame a little bit. I'm not sure, but honestly, there's no grand conspiracy here to hurt her.
Were you awake when sent her into the room with you?
Yeah.
So again, there we go with the theme of today's episode. No grand conspiracy here. He's telling them that, nobody's to blame and everybody's to blame. He's trying to tell them that he did this. And we're going to talk about that. So hard to see said I actually started to think Jen had a lot less involvement after listening to these calls. I'm starting to question that myself. I am. Bella's gifted 20 memberships. Thank you so much for that. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. I really appreciate that, my love. And I was going to tell you earlier and didn't get a chance, but I love your picture that you did. I love the little Canadian flag. That's so cute. Those went to Amy, Pennsylvania, Sarah A, Jenna, Atolia, Charmania, David Fan, Deb H, Atticus, Mimi Dosa, Lady Season, Cornish Gypsy, Bet Pondu Cruz, Passenger 33, Kit Kat Cappuccino, Miss Pink Miss, Gigi, Margie Childers, YTBKT, Rose Miller, Deb H. If you were gifted a membership from Abellis and you are where you were gifted, please tell her thank you, and I will pick y'all up on the Polar Express. Thank you so much, Abellis. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. And then LZB gifted $5 and said that it's bunny money. I'll try to highlight it. I don't know where it's at. Where did it go? Thank you for that. I will use it to get basil, his cilantro, and parsley. I really appreciate that. I'm sure y'all saw it. I don't know where it went now. The chat moved too bad. There it is. Okay, I got it now. Thank you, LZB, and I will definitely use that to get Basil some of his parsley and cilantro that he loves. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That was so sweet of you. Hey, Mayla's mom. There is not a lot of speculation on the premeditated Mad Links. So yeah, I'm having to ask questions. I think Jen, I think she definitely knew about the CSAM, and I'm starting to question a lot of things. I don't know. We're going to talk about it.
And she was fine when she came into your room? What time at night was that?
Maybe 11-ish or so, I'm not sure.
Okay, so she was fine. So what happened between 11 and whenever you found her?
Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? She went to
Yeah.
sleep
I mean, when you say you were out of the room for what length of time were you out of the room?
I don't know.
15 minutes?
No, I mean, I left the room a couple times. The first time I left to go to the bathroom, and second time I was out of the room for maybe a couple hours or so, maybe more. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, that was plenty of time for the one-armed man to do it.
Well, without getting into too much detail, she was acting kind of weird before she went to sleep, so I don't know what was going on there. But,
Acting
If you're alone with her and you are the only one who's seen her when she actually went to sleep, that gives you, I mean, he could say a number of things happened. He could say that she's acting weird even though nobody else saw it, and it would be believable because he was the last one in there with her. I see a lot of things that you guys are talking about in chat, and I agree. I agree with a lot of things that y'all are saying.
weird. Like having difficulty?
just strange behavior, acting loopy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure.
Could you have been drugged?
I honestly can't get into too many details just because I don't want to hurt my case, but I have some suspicions in that regard. Whether it was given to her by anyone or whether she helped herself, there are reasons to believe she may have done that as well.
But
That really irritated me because he's putting this on that child. Hey, always late. It's good to see you.
I can't,
okay.
obviously can't get into too much detail.
No,
I'll stick
I
to
know.
the case, and my attorney will tear my throat out with her bare teeth if I flap my lips too much.
Okay.
Well, you won't be flapping them to her.
I'm giving notes to her.
Oh, okay.
One of the social workers whose specialty is dealing with people who are looking at the death penalty, she'll be here Monday, so I'll pass some more notes through her to my attorney Alicia, and I guess some more lawyers are going to be hopping on board at this point. There's going to be a whole team working on this. But
Four more attorneys.
it's going to be an all hands on deck kind of thing.
Well, I had a long conversation with him today, so.
Hey, Grumpy Bit. I think that I don't think he is supposed to be talking like this. So I think that's why the attorney said that he can't talk to his parents anymore, and they're not having any more phone calls.
There's some things that cannot be passed off as you didn't do it. As you know, there's too much evidence to it. But I told them, I said, you're still my son and I don't hate you. And I do not believe in my heart, I do not believe that you killed that child. You loved her too much and she loved you.
That makes me sick. So you've come to terms with the fact that he committed the CSAM because there is no other, I mean, it's blatantly obvious that he was committing the CSAM, but he can't have committed the homicide because he loved her too much in his sick, twisted way of love. That's actually abuse. Anders said, but the thing that Stephan had some kind of nervous breakdown on the Saturday before he drove up, that could be the premeditation. Whatever caused the breakdown.
And I just don't think it happened that way. So if it was an accident.
We had a lot of wonderful plans for the week, and we were all looking forward to it, and we were all very happy to be reunited. It had been months since we'd all seen each other, and there's no reason that I would have given all of that up for literally no reason to hurt her and trade it all in for this.
No, there isn't. But there's jealousy on the other side, too. I mean, if she told you, I hope you don't leave me for my daughter, that tells me that she was thinking about that for a while.
Now, I mean, again, you're blaming Jen, but not holding him accountable at all. That means that she was jealous and thinking that for a while. Like, so why, when you started hearing her say that, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you take yourself out of that situation? Because he didn't want to be out of that situation. He wanted to be right there where he was. Annabelle said she overdosed and then strangled herself. Shut the fuck up. Hyoid fractures are very rare and caused by hanging, blunt force trauma, or strangulation. That hyoid fracture wasn't caused because of being rigged. Yeah, I agree.
Well, it was said half jokingly, but you know, it's just one of those things. You know, again, I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's just, there's a lot of shit going on, you know. But,
Yes, I do. I cannot. I have nightmares imagining what you're living right now.
I'm okay.
And
I mean, never mind what Maddie was living for years.
It sucks. It's a terrible place, and I've heard other inmates in the cells next to me talking about it. You know, those that have been in and out of correctional institutions their whole lives, and they say of all the county jails they've been to, this one is by far the worst.
I can't, after Mayla's mom said, I can't believe the amount of vitriol for his parents. Their lives were turned upside down. And yes, Deb has said stupid stuff, but she's trying to protect herself. I can't, I respect your opinion, but I'm going to strongly disagree with you. She's not, I don't think she's protecting herself at all. I think she's trying to blame everybody else but the person who obviously did this. I think if it wasn't for the images of the CSAM, I think he could tell her that he was committing CSAM on Madeline, and she still wouldn't believe him. Throughout all these calls, she blames everybody but him. And even Chris is like, if you had come to me and told me this story, I wish you had told me the story y'all came up with so I could help you come up with a better story. Like, and that's, it kind of goes into what I'm talking about today. This whole time we have been like, you know, Jen knows more. Jen, and she does. She obviously knows more. She obviously knew about the CSAM, in my opinion, and she knew about the homicide, I think, after the fact, and tried to help cover it up. But it amazes me, whether rightfully so or wrongfully so, how we have this whole time been going after Jen, and then we hear these phone calls, and now we're going after the parents. I think both are deserved, because Deb says some shit that, and yes, she never thought it would be public. I get that 100%, but the thing she says is absolutely astonishing. She blames Maddie for it. She says it was Maddie's time to go. A child, it's never a child's time to go when they're 13 years old. She can't make Stephan take any accountability for what he did whatsoever. She blames everybody else around him except him. I can't, and it's weird to me how we've all switched, but I do have to question. I'm wondering if Jen knew about the CSAM, didn't know about the homicide until after the fact, and tried to help Stephan cover it up, because at that point her child was deceased. So they're going to try to pass it off as somebody kidnapped her and hope the body doesn't get found. But then when the body of her child did get found, Stephan went down for it. I still have strong feelings towards Jen. I don't, she's not the victim in this either. Madeline's the only victim, and everybody around her is to blame. Deb is to blame. Stephan is to blame. Jen is to blame. I mean, they all did this. This was all a big combustion of a lot of bullshit that happened, and this child is now deceased because of it. And I think they're all to blame, but Deb needs to, I can't with her, because she's, even in the interview that they did with Hidden True Crime, she still, I mean, even like throughout these calls, and you're going to hear, like, she still can't make Stephan take accountability. In the interview, she blames everybody else. She says he has some accountability, but not much. And every time he talks about what happened, what he did, or anything about Madeline, and he's even like, you know, there's no conspiracy theories. You can't blame her. She lost a child too. It's always, yeah, but Jen, yeah, but Jen, yeah, but Jen. Where is Jen? Has she been questioned? Jen. Never Stephan. Even when she's hit with that Jen sent Madeline upstairs to sleep with Stephan, it's why would Jen do that? Not why would Stephan abuse the child in the way he did It's why would Jen send her daughter to bed with Stephan, which both are wrong. Jen shouldn't have done that, and Stephan shouldn't have done that. But it's Jen's fault in Deb's mind. That's the big issue I have. Joyous said, I'll catch the replay group. The yard work is calling me. Thank you. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate that. That was so sweet of you. I got to get in my yard too. Yeah, I think Jen is very guilty, at least for helping with the cover up of both things, of the homicide and the CSAM. That's my thought on that. The only thing everybody knew was don't run off with Maddie. So in my opinion, she knew. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Pamela said, I hear Deb say, look how these friends turned out. Their parents were fill in the blank. Yet she can't seem to understand why we do blame her for how Stephan Stern turned out. Right. Yep.
Well, actually,
Right.
Rebecca said that today too. She said they are much more paranoid and they're stricter.
It's great.
That's going to stay with you. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I remember seeing my brother when he had passed away, and that's the last thing I remember seeing of him. And so.
Now, these are just clips that I grabbed of things that, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's just, you can tell.
Yes, you can. My dad, yeah.
It's just, when they're gone, really, really, truly gone, there's nothing you can do. There's no coming back.
Yeah.
Right.
No, there isn't.
She was past the point of no return.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, given the crazies of the grandmom and already starting to call her a Gordo, she would have been the next one on the list for gastric bypass. But I just think, maybe God just delivered her out of a place that was going to become really bad for her.
I mean,
That's a big issue for me with Deb. Like, what do you mean? I can't. No, ma'am.
I always knew that life was going to be hard for her. Her mom certainly didn't do her any favors, and since I had no say in the matter of how she was raised or disciplined or anything, there was nothing I could do about it but sit back and watch the train wreck as it unfolded.
Yeah, and she's trying to tell everybody that it was a little angel and she had no problems with her, and you were already telling us that they were butting heads like two Rocky Mountain.
See, even Deb here is like, she's trying to tell everybody Maddie was a little angel, and you're telling us that they're butting heads and she's already having problems out of her. Normal teenage stuff. Teenage girls especially fight with their mothers. But you're making it like, oh, she was already having issues out of her and she was already having trouble with Maddie and they were fighting, but she placed the blame on Maddie, like saying that, Jen's over here saying she's this perfect little angel, and we all know she wasn't. Like, I've got big problems with Deb saying shit like that.
Mountain Rams.
Yeah, they got physical on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, I figure they did that again.
And I believe this part is true. I believe that her and Jen might have got physical on a couple of occasions. And I believe what they're talking about because Stephan is excited, just like Jen gets over him and talking with his voice heightened. It makes me feel like this part is true. But when he talks about the homicide, he gets real low about stuff. You can tell when he's telling things that might have actually happened and things that are actually true by the pattern of his voice. I believe what he's saying happened, that they might have gotten physical on a couple of occasions and that they were fighting a lot. But Madeline was traumatized and she was acting out because she was traumatized, in my opinion. Indy just became a member of Speculation Station. Thank you so much for that. That's so awesome. I'm glad to have you as a member. I'll grab the crazy train and come pick you up on the way to Speculation Station. Thank you so much, Indy. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. I appreciate that. Oh, if y'all don't mind, please hit the thumbs up so we can stay out in the algorithm. I appreciate it.
But okay.
I often played mediator between the two of them because I was the only one that could talk either of them down when they started going at it with each other.
Yeah, I know.
Where were the roommates when all this is going on?
Upstairs, doing their own things.
Was all that screaming and yelling and crap going on?
Yeah,
I'm surprised
it
they stayed.
honestly, it wasn't that far out of place in that house. Was often given to yelling or loud crying or outbursts, and it was given to yelling and screaming and coming down on people. It was happening a lot more and more often, which is why I kept trying to tell I think maybe your meds are becoming less effective. It seems like you're becoming more erratic and more unstable. It seemed like the more stable I became, the more unstable she became. Like we switched places.
And I believe that.
Well, I always told you she was a black hole to need.
Yeah.
So nothing to do about it now, but what I hate the worst is that she's sitting in a hospital having 3 meals a day, clean sheets, television, access to phone, reading, walking around free, taking a shower by herself, and you're sitting where you are.
Yeah.
And it all goes back to Jen again. You think he's trying to say Jen did something to her? That's an interesting speculation. It's possible, absolutely. So if Maddie cried when he was hurting her so bad, it was commonplace. It was commonplace for her to have outbursts and things. Yeah, it would. They did say it was happening more and more often. Southern cats. They were probably laughing at him. He wishes someone oogled him, no doubt. He also does have 3 meals a day. I mean, to be fair.
I guarantee her food's probably a lot better than mine.
Oh, I guarantee there's a lot of stuff that's better than yours.
Well, it'll all come out in the wash.
It will.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully.
a very, 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 very slim chance of doing anything about any of this, and I'm praying to God and asking for His help to make it possible. But
Well, how about giving up the chivalrous part and lay some truthisms on?
what's that?
I said, quit being so chivalrous and protective of. Start laying some truth bombs on her. There's truth bombs there.
Maybe none as groundbreaking or bombastic as you might hope for, but there are some truths there, some ugly truths, and
She's blaming Jen again, and he's again like, yeah, but it's not what you think. It's not as groundbreaking and bombastic as you might think. The truth about Jen and his involvement with her and the involvement in the homicide. I mean, he's telling her right there, it's not as groundbreaking or bombastic as you might think. Telling her, in my opinion, that she wasn't involved in the homicide. And Deb's still not trying to hear it.
some not so pretty truths, but I guess I reacted to everything the way I did because I wanted to shield her. I wanted to keep her from getting any blowback from him, but
You shouldn't have.
Now that part, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's just telling his mom that because, I mean, it's obvious that that's what his mom wants to hear, that, yeah, I'm protecting Jen. Or is he really protecting Jen? I don't know.
You shouldn't have, because that left them only one person to lay everything on. That was you.
Yep. And, I should have just done the correct thing from the get-go and let the chips fall where they may. But I couldn't stand the idea of losing them both horribly like that. And I lost them both anyway, so it was pointless.
That tells me that they came up with the plan to say Madeline was kidnapped, or try to make it seem like she was kidnapped from walking to school that day, and then the plan fell apart when they found the body. That's what that tells me. And I think they came up with it together because there was he didn't want to lose them both. I think that's what it became after the homicide was committed. You know, Madeline is unfortunately already deceased. If we try to run it this way, where somebody kidnapped her on the way to school, then we don't have to go to prison and we don't have to lose each other. And we can just keep this big, huge secret forever. But it all fell apart.
Yeah.
There was just so much agony and so much pain, so much shock and so much trauma. My mind was just not, it wasn't me anymore. I wasn't in control of myself anymore. I was doing things that I wouldn't do. I wasn't acting or thinking rationally.
Lori said, we don't know what he told his mom. He could have been making crap up about years ago up to the present. She's going on what he's told her. Possibly. But for me, it's like he keeps trying to tell her that, you know, there's no grand conspiracy here. What happened the way that it happened, and that's just how it happened. And she keeps trying to blame Jen, and he keeps saying, you know, no, there's no conspiracy here. There's no bombastic groundbreaking information. And she just always goes back to, it's Jen's fault. It's Jen's fault. It's Jen's fault. And he's trying to tell her that, no, it's not, in my opinion.
It was just panic and fear and
Yeah, I can't imagine.
You know, Stephan, I can't help but get the feeling that none of this that was on the phone was a surprise to
And see, again, bringing Jen up. Jen. I don't think it was a surprise to Jen either. But, I mean, you just keep bringing her up.
She was aware that he had certain feelings towards me.
Yeah. Well, then why would she send her in there to sleep with you?
She used to joke about it, you know, call it an electric complex.
Why would she send her to sleep with you? Not why would you go to bed and sleep with this child in the bed? Why would Jen send the child to sleep with you? Which both questions are valid. Why would Jen send Madeline to sleep in a bed with a grown-ass man? But also at the same time, why would the grown-ass man sleep in the bed with the 13-year-old and abuse her?
He used to joke and say, you know, you better not leave me for my daughter when she's older, things like that. Laugh about it, and they used to both ogle over me and comment on me and talk about me together and giggle and talk about how nice I looked, and it was not an appropriate situation.
No, it wasn't.
And, you know, I always had an issue with boundaries. She never respected any boundaries that I tried to set. You know, we got in arguments on more than one occasion about the sleeping arrangements, so I, you know, would beg her, you know, please make her go sleep in her own room, and she said, well, no, it's easier this way for me to wake her up when she's near me, and you know, it's like we didn't have any privacy, and you know, just didn't have any space to ourselves. And she would suggest, well, maybe you should go sleep in bed instead. And it's like, you know, it's like a twin bed, and I'm, you know.
Somebody said in my comment section that I misunderstood this part, and I did. What he's saying is Jen told him to go sleep alone in Maddie's bed, and if he didn't like to be in the bed with both of them, which I agree. I mean, I don't know. I think Stephan made an excuse to be in that bed so he could do the CSAM.
6+ feet, and no. Why would I want to do that instead of sleeping in our king size bed? You know, I should have broken up with her a long time ago and just distanced myself.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Should have, would have, could have. Hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah, it seems to be my superpower. Useless superpower.
So those are the two I would look at.
I've been praying to him to deliver me from all this and
All right, this is the next clip.
give me a chance to get my life back on track, but there might be some kind of slim chance, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to jinx anything or get anybody's hopes up.
I don't want to jinx anything or get anybody's hopes up. I mean, in my opinion, about Jen being more involved than she actually is. Which is a lot, in my opinion.
But I'm gonna try. Worth a try anyway.
Well,
Oh, MK.
they need to
Thank you.
get her out of the hospital where she can be interviewed by police.
I mean, and again, do you notice? I mean, it's Jen again. She's bringing up Jen.
They need to ruin all her family in, all those bitches. They were sitting there at the grandmother's house calling 911 and being ugly to the 911 operators.
All those bitches that were sitting at grandma's house calling 911 and being ugly to the operators, who, mind you, took what, 6 hours? It was a very, very long time to come out and even take the report that Madeline was missing. I'm sorry, I would have been a quote unquote bitch too if I'm on the phone and I'm waiting for you to come out and take a report of my granddaughter, my daughter, my niece, my nephew missing, and you're taking several hours to come out here. I would also ask, like she did, is this not important to you? I have a child that's missing. Do you not find this important enough? I mean, is it not important to you? Excuse me. I don't think they were bitches at all. But again, now we're blaming Jen's family. Okay.
They already knew what had happened. They all knew, and none of them were acting scared. None of them were acting concerned. They were talking like we're talking now. Like there wasn't really anything big going on.
Well, I wouldn't get so carried away with any conspiracy theories.
So she's trying to say the family was involved and already knew what was going on. And he, again, is like, I wouldn't get carried away with conspiracy theories. That is his way of kindly letting his mom know that's not true. In my opinion.
You don't have to be a conspiracy theory to see the writing on the wall.
Well,
no, you don't.
At any rate, that's probably not going to help me anyways.
Well, don't give up anything. Don't give up on anything.
Well, I'm not. I'm holding on to hope until there's nothing left to hold on to.
Well, when you get to the end of the rope, you tie a knot in it and still hang on.
You know, when I first got here, I was praying to God for strength and serenity, and, He's given me that. And all this happened, and, passed away, and that immediately brought me back to God. That was the first thing I did, was beg God to take me and spare her. And
well, everybody who loves somebody will do that. So
I haven't stopped praying.
No, if you love somebody, you would rather take their pain than have them have it.
IKR is I know, right? Thank you, Faith, for coming in and saying thank you for the membership.
Yeah, I would have done it for her.
Yep.
But, I've told God, I said, I see what you did. You immediately brought me back to you, and that I had strayed for a long time, and, message received. My eyes are open. I just wish it didn't have such a high price attached to it. And it's just, I don't know.
Sometimes you have to look at why it was taken, and it was her time. God knows what's going to happen to you.
See this? I got a big problem. I'm sorry. I got a big motherfucking problem with that. It is never a 13-year-old's time to go. Her whole life plan was severed when whatever happened to her, which usually, if they're young like that, is homicide or they take their lives themselves. But no, absolutely not. It was not her time to go. Her life plan was interrupted.
When you're born, He knows every moment of your life is coming. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I know He has a plan, and every day I've been reaffirming to myself and reassuring myself that I have to be patient and maintain my faith and have faith that He has a plan for me, whatever it may be, that it will be revealed in time. And that all I have to do is be patient and maintain my faith in Him and trust.
Well, you got to trust Him
I don't have a sense of humor anymore, to be honest.
So this is further on in the call. Fisher said she was finally feeling happy and off the meds, got student of the week, shame on them. Yep. Irene said, in my opinion, something in him has revealed he's not doing evil things anymore. He was addicted and being locked up is the only way to stop. But there's a part of him that feels he's the victim, not the problem. I think there's a big part of him that feels that he's the victim, not the problem. And his mama coddles the shit out of that. She is pouring gasoline and diesel fuel and, I mean, heavy explosives on that fire. I'm here for it. Said, I didn't know that. I haven't heard the roommate texted Jen. Thank you for sharing that. So the roomies were probably catching on to the abuse. The roommate texted Jen to let Jen know that Stephan and Maddie were in the room with the door shut. And Jen, all she said was, thank you. Something like, I'm taking care of it. Plan is meandering down long hallways to get his last taco and then off to hell. Yeah, and then he says things like, you know, I can't wait to get to heaven and see Maddie, and she'll ask me, hey, Stinky, what took you so long? And I'm like, that would be Maddie's hell. Why? Does it bother anyone else that he's eating through most of the phone calls? He's so gross. Yeah. It bothers me. She's implying that God planned that her time to go would be through being unalived. Yes, she is a name here, and that's why I want to reach through and slap the shit out of her.
A very large part of me died when she did.
Well,
I'm not the same person anymore, and I don't think I ever will be. There's some wounds that just don't ever heal.
Yeah, would you lose somebody that's very close to you that you loved for a long time? Those wounds don't heal. But you caused this homicide, and your love for her was abuse. It's not going to heal, but you did it, in my opinion. Yep.
well, I'm assuming that they are treating you for PTSD because you found the body, not to mention everything else that went along with that.
No, not treating me.
So now they're making him a victim of finding Maddie's body. I assume you're being treated for PTSD because you found the body. I mean, making him a victim of the homicide that he, in my opinion, committed on Maddie. He's the victim now.
For anything except my blood pressure.
Well, they need to do the PTSD because you're not sleeping.
Well,
Absolutely
you know,
not.
I keep telling myself that I have to maintain my faith. Without faith and trust in God, I have nothing, and therefore I'm keeping that. You know.
Well, just remember that not everybody knows who God is, and not everybody who's walking around is not a demon. Some are demons.
Yeah, I think you're a demon, and I think your son is a demon, if I can be quite frankly honest, but that's just me. Thank you so much, Kim Casey, for justice, sending me a super sticker. That was so very sweet of you. I really appreciate the support. Trying to see what it was. It says 100. I agree. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. That was so sweet of you. I really appreciate it.
I keep telling God that I trust you, and I have faith in you. Please deliver me from this. Please deliver me from the people who are trying to destroy me.
But your back was turned on God the whole time. You were abusing her for all these years, and then you get yourself in this situation, and all of a sudden it's, oh, I found God, and I need God save me from this and help me from this. Part of the Bible tells you that you're supposed to be godly all the time. You're not supposed to do that. I am a Christian. I'm not supposed to cuss. I'm not supposed to talk bad about people and things like that. Sometimes we do, but you committed all of these sins and turned your back completely on God. And now it's, oh, I want faith and patience. No.
Just want to see my parents again.
Well, we'd like to see you too. It's been awfully quiet without you.
Mother said, how can she say it's been quiet with the dogs?
Relatively, I guess.
overprotected. It amazes me too with Deborah how she's supposed to be this big, huge Christian and know the Bible, but then says Maddie's better off dead, that it was her time to go, and calling the family bitches.
But
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, nobody to say, hey, are you making ramen?
yeah, that ramen was a big hit. Even with, I used to remember she would have such a mischievous little evil smile on her face when I made a fresh bowl of ramen, and she'd try a bite and then steal the rest of the bowl and walk away while staring evil looks and smiles at me.
I'm going to tell you this. Always late. No, they don't think about the hell that Maddie went through. That statement's odd to me. I think about, like, the kids with their dad, right? Like, if he's eating something that they want, he gives it to them. Like, but most of the time we're all eating the same thing, so they get the same thing. But, like, for her to walk up to him, steal his bowl of ramen, and be like, thanks. I mean, I don't know. It just shows more of a relationship, like what was going on. Like, that she was being abused, and she had been taught that it was normal, and they were in some kind of relationship because of that abuse and the abuse that was happening all the time. She had been abused to the point of thinking they were in a relationship. And just like, you know, you go to your boyfriend and he makes some food and you might steal it or something like that. Like, that's just weird to me. Maybe not so much for everybody else, but again, thinking about the kids, if he has something they want, he'll give it to them. Like, but most of the time we have the same things. I don't know. It's that comment's weird for me. Maybe not for everybody else. I don't know.
I missed that.
No,
Oh,
she was a very special child. And I wish this did not happen that way. And I wish a lot of things did not happen the way they happened. And you know what I'm talking about?
yep, me too.
So I don't understand that. I don't think there's ever anything that anybody could say to me that would make me understand that. So I'm not even going to go further than that into it, but just know that I don't care what you did.
Yeah, I've seen that face.
There is nothing that would make me hate you. There's nothing that would make me turn my back on you.
And I get that coming from a mother's perspective, but you still have to make him take accountability. Faith, we watched that. I think it was the last live. No, the live before last. So, like the third live back, if you include this live and go, not the last live we did on Maddie, but the live before that, we went through the interview with the parents.
Well, I appreciate that, Mom. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, sweetheart.
And, you know, just going up for visits and bringing you snacks or new treats for her to try, or showing her new video games or her games and things like that. You know, just, I miss
I
that.
believe he does.
Oh, you got the 1 minute notice.
Yeah, there it is again. Well, I'll try to call back in another 15 minutes.
Well, I can't believe that he put those thoughts and desires in you either. But something happened.
Well, I can't confirm or deny anything, obviously. I don't want to do any damage to her here, but
This is the only time I've ever heard her, maybe one other, where she's actually like, you know, you can't deny all the evidence that's on you as far as the CSAM goes.
it's a lot more messy and complicated than everyone would like it to be.
Well, I kind of figured that.
It would be a lot more simple and a lot more easy if it really was just a horrible monster.
You are. It is.
It's not like that.
No, it's not. And that's what Rebecca said today. She said, you know, I don't tend to think of them as bad people. I tend to think of them as people that have done something wrong, but they have a lot of good still in them. And I say, well, that's exactly what he is. He's got a lot of good in him. A lot.
And I've done a lot of good. I've done much, much more good than I have bad. But it's funny how, you know, people...
I would love to know, like, can we find where he's done any good as opposed to bad? I mean, the good outweighs the bad, but there's 1,700 images of bad you did to Maddie alone over all of these years. Like, is there any good? Could we really outweigh the good with the bad, sir? Because I really don't think we could.
Focus on the bad and all the good counts for nothing.
Well, that's what they always said. You know, it's like being late to work. When you're late once, they don't forget it. When you're on time 360 days a year, they don't think about it.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Well,
Or when you're bad, they don't forget. When you're good, they don't remember.
yep. Yep. If we had to put all my good deeds and weigh them against my bad deeds on a scale, you know, the good would far outweigh
Would
the
it
bad.
really, though?
Yeah, I tried to get the call the first time and it just disconnected us. So I don't know.
When it goes to voicemail, it just auto refuses.
No, it didn't go.
I'm here for it. Said that, well, at least Deb and Jen agree CSA isn't so bad. We can get over that. Like, really? Everybody has a part to play in this, and everybody has some truthisms to answer for. But I just can't get past Deb with this shit.
Go to voicemail. I was trying to pick it up. So.
Okay. Are you at home?
Yes. Why?
Oh, I was just wondering if you were around, if both of you guys were there.
We're both here.
All right. So did you hear from my attorney yet?
Yes.
Okay, so you got the news then that they filed this morning to seek the death penalty.
Yeah.
How are you guys holding up?
Well, we're just waiting for this to play out. So, you know.
Yeah.
So Debbie, your mother said that you were officially charged with murder. I didn't know about seeking the death penalty. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Well, it was always a possibility. And the level they charged me at, obviously, you know, if they seek it, there's a good chance that they can get it. So at 10 o'clock this morning, they officially filed for intent to seek death.
Well, it won't happen for a long time, according to your attorney, if at all. And from what we heard, your judge does not like the death penalty. He thinks it's too lenient, and he would rather have you in jail for the rest of your freaking life.
That's what he
wonderful.
deserves.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I'd rather have you on death row because you're in more seclusion and you're not really with the bulk of the population of the people.
Well, I hate to say it, but I'd rather be on death row too, because I agree with them. It's a much easier way out.
Yep.
I'd rather, you know.
And like she said, there'll be appeal after appeal after appeal, and
yeah, she said it could take up to 25 years for them to finally get around to executing me if I'm found guilty.
Yeah, and by that time you might welcome it, but we won't be here to see it.
By that time, it's about all I've got in me to serve anyway, so.
Yeah.
You can rest easy, Deb, knowing that you won't have to see your son taken to the death penalty. You fucking God. Lord help me.
I'll see what the point is.
They said you were put.
Back in seclusion.
They said they put.
You know what? It's never a mannequin. You said I would love someone to ask her what she thinks the appropriate punishment would be for him. She thinks the appropriate punishment would be for him to be out right now and Jen to be behind bars. Do you think maybe she's faking being nice as an approach to get him to say something? Absolutely not. I thought that about Chris, but then he said about, you know, you should have come to me so I could have helped you come up with a better plan. Like, even Dad was going to try to help him get out of it. Like, absolutely not. These people are this way, and that's why Stephan is the way he is.
Put you back in seclusion?
Well, I've been in seclusion this whole time.
Well, that you're going to stay there or something? So I don't know. A lot of misinformation.
Yeah, well, I'm still in isolation, yes. I'm still in medical, although they moved me to a different cell here in medical, but this one has a bed at least, or I should say a platform to put my mat on. But, you know, I'll be moved again because eventually they're going to need this cell back. got a restraint.
Any word on the books?
No. Were you able to follow up with the mailroom on Monday?
Well,
I think that's where the
we tracked the order and it was delivered to Seminole, so we know it was delivered.
Yeah.
I don't.
Because they're a habitual liar, and it's hard when you're a liar to keep the truth straight because
okay.
you change it every time you tell somebody something.
I don't know. I just used to laugh it off and dismiss it.
All right, that's the end of the video I have on that one. Now we're going to jump over to this last document I have, but it was interesting to me for her to talk about habitual liars and how the story has to change every time you tell it, because every single time she talks about Jen, it's something different. It's a different reason why she should be held accountable. Hold on a minute.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Go down
touch
just
base
a minute.
with you, just to get up to speed on some things.
Okay. I'm pulling up this document and then we're going to listen to just a little bit of that one. So I wanted to share this with you as far as continuing to talk about Deb blaming Jen. This is an email that they had between them, and this was on June 25th at 9:11. It says, what we really need to pay attention to is I keep thinking about how you would not ever rat out a friend. It really made me mad, and I felt like you valued them over us when you let them get away with stuff. Don't be doing that again. We all know Jen was heavily involved in this, and I'm disgusted that she is free and you are not, when this is not all your fault. You need to think about yourself more and her less. She sure isn't thinking of you and how she can help you right now. That whole family is willing to stay quiet and let you take the fall for everything. When you do, you are hurting. When you do that, you are hurting us too. Please get out of your head over this and start talking with your attorneys. This stuff is serious and you need to approach it as life and death, which it is. I think the craziness Maddie lived through with Jen's various partners, not a stable life at all for a child. I do pray for Maddie and for you daily. I am thrilled you are working out again and have a physical outlet for the stress. So again, I mean, even writing in email, she's blaming Jen again. Okay. And quickly, just to remind you, we have this document that I already had on here that just popped up. So I felt like we need to share it real quick. Keep in mind about this DNA paperwork here that's loading. That his DNA was found on her breast. A mixture of his DNA and her DNA was found on her breast. And more than likely, there was more of his DNA in other places, but they couldn't, the samples were too small, so they couldn't verify for sure. So they tell you, where they got the DNA from in that document right there. We're going to jump over here. Item number 13, breast swabs represented as being from Madeline. A complete YSTR DNA profile was obtained from item number 13. The YSTR DNA profile from Stephan Stearns matches the YSTR DNA profile obtained from item 13. His DNA was on her breast. So again, I mean, while I say that Jen is culpable and should be held accountable for everything that led up to the homicide is 100% Stephan Stearns' fault. And she might have helped him after the fact, but I don't think she knew about the homicide, and I don't think she's involved in it. And we're going to listen to what the police said here in July. Now, this is after all the phone calls, after those emails that we've seen. I want to remind you of this. So let's listen.
I'm surprised that Jen hasn't been arrested yet, because, we feel in our heart that, she was there when the death occurred and was involved in the cover-up. She obviously lied to the sheriff's department in their statement as to, the disappearance of Jen, when that was all a ruse. Maddie was a ruse to begin with. Mm-hmm. So I'm just curious as to why nothing. Where is she? Is she still in the country? Is she in some institution?
I don't know. I know the state attorney's office has been in contact with her. Once my case packet is delivered to the state attorney's office, my involvement is pretty much done.
Yeah.
So as they're where she's at, no idea. You know, but I know the state attorney is still in contact with her.
Okay. Well, all right. It's just surprising that somebody that was there during the death and probably responsible for it certainly participated and hasn't been arrested. One of the things that
So he's saying somebody who was there during the death and probably responsible for it hasn't been arrested. Anna said, I just figured out something. He asked if Chris Stearns home, and Chris Stearns answers yes. Why? I think because he wants to say something to his dad so mom doesn't hear. I don't know. But something about Chris Stearns. Possibly, Anna. Melissa, good to see you. He's thought about nothing but himself. Absolutely.
have kind of speculated or come to the conclusion of is in talking to Stephan, and obviously he's not telling us much because he's under the instructions of his attorney to keep quiet about it, and obviously that's their defense. But he said something kind of odd that we've been, my wife and I have been kind of kicking back and forth, and he made a statement that said, I didn't start it. And that kind of puzzled me as to, well, what do you mean I didn't start it? Getting to the chase, I think they were involved in some sort of criminal enterprise. I think those photos on his phone, and again, the day of his arrest in Jennifer's demeanor, as I've shared with you, is just really out of context of what you would expect from a mother who just learned that her significant other
Committed this homicide.
I think that is still a possibility of that occurring. But I don't know if she took a photo of the photos that she was shown, the images off of Stephan's phone, or maybe she showed me something she had on her phone, but the flashing back to that image, and again, it was something I didn't want to see, so I didn't want to spend a lot of time gazing at it, looking at it. Didn't want to see it to begin with, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. But the image that I recall seeing, which meant that.
So you're saying Jen showed you this picture?
Yeah, and I thought it was maybe she grabbed it. She said she was shown, they had a package, whoever it was showing the package.
That was me.
Okay. She said, well, I don't want to see all, but supposedly, again, her telling me this, that she looked at, am I imagining that?
I can tell you this, that Jennifer, unless she had, which I'll get that in a second, the pictures that were shown to Jennifer during the interview to identify Stephan, she wasn't able to take any photos of those pictures. Does that make sense?
All right.
Okay. So, and have you read my narrative yet for this?
No.
Okay, that's going to answer a lot of your questions. So I don't know if Stephan can get you.
Well, how would I get that?
I don't know if his attorney can give it to you, or if Stephan, I'm sure he already has it through discovery and stuff like that.
Well, didn't the state attorney release the investigative reports?
Everything should have been released.
Yeah,
because I know here,
because the news stations immediately put up their story.
No, that's Deb. You can tell by the eyes and the smile and the nose. That's Deb, just a lot younger.
About it out there.
I know public records requests have been done here as well for the case.
Yeah.
So it's out there. That's going to answer a lot of your questions. But as for a picture being on Jennifer's phone, we downloaded her phone just like we did Stephan's, and there is 0 images like that on her phone. So where you got this image, I don't know where that
Maybe I'm just.
So the cops are questioning Chris, or talking to Chris in July.
Visioning it, or whatever, I don't know. But I think they were involved in some sort of criminal enterprise. Because there was money being spent, packages were arriving at our house on a frequent basis. And when I brought Stephan home from Kissimmee at the end of November, to my knowledge, he had no money. because I provided a lot of financial support for him.
Yeah, that's he thought that Jim was trying to show him an image of the abuse going on between Madeline and Stephan, but he later says that he dreamed it or something. He was asking about it. I don't know. Yeah, he's lying or bluffing or something like that. Yeah, fishing, like you guys were saying.
And told me, hey, time has run out. I can't do this anymore. Whatever you're doing at Disney is going to take way too many years to you know, go through promotions and pay raises to where you could afford to support yourself. I mean, you need to be making 2.5 times what you're making, and you'll never get there. You know, you need to find a career path, which is what I was trying to find for him. I was encouraged by his work ethics that he was demonstrating at Disney, which what precipitated me bringing him back. But since learned as early as the day he was arrested, because Jennifer said that he had called in quite a bit at Disney, which was kind of like his MO. And it really disappointed me to hear that. And when he came home, he fell into the same
Probably
bullshit
Kimberly.
pattern that
Probably
we
Kimberly.
have been struggling with for many years. And you know, trying to get him out of bed and, you know,
So it's obviously been a long pattern his whole entire life.
There was money, there was packages arriving on a constant basis. When I asked him about, you know, where the money was coming from, he said savings. Well, I can tell you that other than the inheritance he got from his father, which he blew through rather quickly, there was never been any savings. He never saved 2 nickels. So some money had to be coming somewhere. But his comment about I didn't start it got us wondering that maybe he was caught up in a criminal enterprise with Jen, and Jennifer was. And I don't know if you can collaborate that or not, but I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, I mean, without getting too much into my investigation in the narrative, it did not appear to be that way, that they were working together.
Okay.
Because I will tell you this, we have spent months, thousands of hours, literally going line by line through his phone and her phone, and there is nothing to suggest that theory, that they were working together.
Could they be working independent?
Well, Stephan was working independent.
He was.
I can tell you that. Yes.
Okay. So he was involved in a criminal enterprise.
Well, I don't want to say criminal enterprise, but the stuff that was found on his phone pretty much painted the picture of the whole case.
Okay. More Maddie?
There was, well, the thumb drive that you provided.
Was okay, so there was stuff on
So
that.
there, I can tell you there was. So identifying those individuals, it'd be almost nearly impossible.
30,000?
Yes.
What about the hard drive?
The hard drive.
I left that part because y'all were asking about the pictures of the other children, the 30,000. So, as you heard there, they said that they've been through the phone line by line thousands of hours and that Stephan worked independently. Now, again, you're not ever going to convince me that Jen Soto didn't know about the CSAM stuff, especially with the Woody Allen comments and sending them to bed. And I do believe that Jen might have mentioned some kind of Electra complex, thinking that Madeline had that. And I do think that they might have oogled over him on the phone or talked about how cute he was. I think Jen absolutely knew about the CSAM. I don't think she knew about the homicide until after it happened. I think she might have helped him cover it up. But as much as Deb wants to blame Jen for everything, yes, she's got some accountability to hold in this. But at the end of the day, I do believe Stephan committed this homicide. I don't think it's, as Stephan would say, groundbreaking or bombastic as we all might think. I think something happened that night and he broke her neck either on purpose or accidentally, or he overdosed her by giving her the same amount of medication he would give her before he actually left. And then because he freaked out or whatever, maybe she overdosed on the medication and he came back and she was no longer alive when he came back in the room, and maybe he broke her neck then to make it look like, she had strangled herself or something, so they wouldn't do a toxicology report on the amount of medication in her system. I don't know what happened that night. I was not there. I did not see. I do not know. But what I do know is that that Deb keeps trying to blame Jen, and from everywhere I can tell, they're saying Jen's not involved in this. So, conspiracy theories. Well, the conspiracy theory is that Jen did this. It's just they're telling you every which way they can that no, she didn't do it. And that's about all I have for today, unless y'all want to come up and talk. I did pin the link at the top. Beadens says Stephan could have dirt on Jen's family and vice versa. Remember, couples do be telling each other secrets, in my opinion. It's a possible speculation. Bombastic. Who talks like that aside from Shaggy? Yeah. Has anybody been through Chris Stern's phone since he just found the hard drive? Could he be working with Stephan? It's a possible speculation. I don't know. I think doing so to save his own tail from what I'm not sure, but Chris Stearns is shifty. Yeah. Make sure you're stating your comments as opinions. I think Stephan Stearns frequently overdosed Madeline with medication so he could SA her while he abused her. Yep. And if we look at where it talks about all the images and things, you can tell that she was what appeared to be asleep during most of them. I can pull that up real quick if you guys want to talk about that, but I don't like going over the images too much. I'll pull it up though. Hold on. Hold on just a minute. I know what the page looks like. It's like burned in my mind forever. So it's in this discovery document. Do-do-do, do-do-do-do. Yeah, I was like, where did it go? Hey, y'all. So I've got these discovery documents to go over. Now, the date of these, I've been trying discovery documents to go over. Now, the date of these is going to be March of this year. I do need to read through some more documents for you guys and get some more of these videos out, but trying to get these jail calls out. I haven't had time to. Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on just a minute. I should have put chapters. So that's the arrest warrant. These are narratives. It's evidence what they took. There it is. There it is. Hold on, did I pass it? It's right here. Right here. All right, I want to find where I first start reading the document. I do want to give y'all a heavy trigger warning on this, but yeah, so this is going to kind of prove that why we think he was giving her substances. She did appear to be asleep in a lot of this. Very heavy trigger warning. This is going to be hard to hear. 5 years and a couple months old. I'm not sure. It's redacted. Says X. Hold on. Try it right there. Okay. Real heavy trigger warning. Because the first time I read this, I just had to stop. Tells us the file name. Description. Video file depicting a prepubescent female resembling Maddie who would have been, I think 5 years and a couple months old. I'm not sure. It's redacted. Says X months old. Maddie is laying next to Stephan in a bed watching cartoons on the television. Stephan is asking Maddie to put his member in her mouth for 3 seconds as he counts. Stephan states Maddie would not be able to play with the phone unless she did it. God almighty. You know, something I just thought of. Next file. She was obviously awake during that one because he's bribing her in that one. He's like, okay, you know, you do this and I'll let you watch cartoons and play with my phone or what the fuck ever that sick bastard did. And then in all the rest of them, it's, you know, she appears to be sleeping. I wonder if, you know, when he references this thing that she did with the phone when she was very young, I wonder if he had been abusing her during that time period. And then she did something and basically mimicking what was happening to her. And so after that, he got scared and started giving her substances when he abused her. Yeah, this is going to be bad. Next description, it says Madeline is approximately, I don't know how old. Stephan is inserting his finger into her front butt while she appears to be sleeping. The next description is an image file depicting Madeline approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his penis into Madeline's mouth while she appears to be sleeping. Next image depicts Madeline approximately X old. Stephan is inserting his member into her mouth while she appears to be sleeping. And it goes through, I mean, oh, this info's been out, but this is the new discovery documents, and it tells us that in the originals it was a lot redacted, and I thought that they were saying they could tell who Maddie, that it was Maddie because of a birthmark on her face having to do with the moles. This one tells us it's a birthmark above her anus. I'm again going to give you another trigger warning. I'll just let it play, and it's going to be hard to hear. Next file depicts Maddie at approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into her mouth while she is underneath a blanket. The next file depicts Maddie approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into Madeline's vagina. Identity is confirmed by a small birthmark that is right above her anus. The same mark is seen on several other photographs of Maddie. That's unredacted. That I always thought that it was a mark on her face. I never seen the word anus in this before. So that's now unredacted. The next description is Madeline approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into Madeline's anus. Madeline's identity is confirmed by a small birthmark that is right above her anus. The same birthmark is seen in several other photographs of Maddie. Description, image file depicting Maddie approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into Madeline's mouth while she appears to be sleeping. The next image is Madeline approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into Madeline's anus. Madeline's identity is confirmed by a small birthmark that is right above her anus. The same mark is seen in several other photographs of Maddie. Next one, description file depicting Maddie approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into Madeline's vagina. Madeline's identity is confirmed by a small birthmark that is right above her anus. The same mark is seen in several other photographs of Maddie. There were hundreds of other images containing Maddie within Stephan's Google account, with most of them depicting sexual activity. A copy of Stephan's Google account was submitted into evidence. This supplement will be forwarded to the state attorney's office. Oh my God. Okay. This is the cover sheet, the city of Kissimmee. So, I mean, you could continue listening to that. It's in the video that's titled Discovery Documents. So, yeah, Madeline's, a lot of them appear to be when she's sleeping, and that's where the drugging comes in. So, you know, a lot of us wonder if it was normal for her to be drugged when he abused her. And if, just like an addict that gets out of rehab and they use the same amount they used before they went in and they overdose and die, if he came back from being away for a long time and gave her the same amount of medication, he could have overdosed her and accidentally made her die or overdose from the medication. I don't know. We won't know until court. Yeah. Peaches, you would hope. So, yeah. Yeah, Tati. Poor Maddie had to have been drugged. It's no wonder why she was sleepy during school. Yep. This evidence is available to the Stearns. I wish they would read these things and see if they continue to be nonchalant with Stephan Stearns on the phone. Well, she references that there's evidence out there that he can't explain away that they know that happened. So she's got. Jennifer said, "Oh, girl, I didn't even see you back there. I'm sorry."
I just got here,
Oh, how are you doing today?
holding your hand because this is difficult for anyone.
Oh yeah, it is difficult to listen to, but I mean, I was just trying to show that while we think she was drugged, yeah,
Well,
it's hard to read.
most of them do have a chemical go-to for their activities. That's been
Yeah.
recorded in a lot of case files.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I don't.
They have to be able to finesse their intentions.
Yep. That's just that he overdosed her before and Jid didn't report it. That could be what the poison control call was about.
There's no telling what that poison control was about.
I mean, if he overdosed her and she had to call poison control and ask about medications, I wonder if she would have even said the right medication or say, "Oh, it's my THC pills" or something that seems like a kid could get into or a teenager. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation.
What if to say they weren't playing alchemy with some of the experiments they were performing on these kids?
Yeah, it's possible. Very possible.
I mean, these are not mentally healthy and stable people.
No, you can't be to do things like that to a child. Where's your moral compass?
To anybody.
Yeah.
And I made a comment earlier. Stearns did not picture Madeline as a child.
No.
He's a classic pederast. He wants the childlike image and the opportunity.
Yep. I noticed in the jail calls when they say, have you ever done this before or to any other children? That's one of those times where he's like, well, I can't get into specifics. So I wonder who else he did it to.
And I've been wondering the same thing with that many images. I'm just kind of curious with the people in that area who they were exchanging, keeping their network small. Who else has been arrested after this with finding out who he was sending stuff to?
Oh, there's quite a few. Let me see. I got a lot on Discord, but I'll see if I can pull anything up on Google right now. There's a lot that's been dropped on Discord, but I can't pull all of it right this second.
I sent you a link on Donna's Law, Florida's Donna's Law, on reporting the abuse. And I heard it through the grapevine that has been mentioned in the preparations for this trial.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're going to use it or not, but I did hear it mentioned in some things that were overheard.
We'll look that up in just a second. Ordered images.
Well, that would have definitely. Well, that could apply to almost anybody that had knowledge or suspicion of
it. Yeah. So November 7th, 2024, a man was arrested on 21 counts of possessing child sexual abuse material in a group called Pedos Only. Man arrested trying to burn down Florida motel to kill sex offenders. Oh, he was trying to get rid of them. There's so much more, though, than just that. And what law did you say that was possibly going to be used?
You can just simply Google Florida's Donna's Law, DONNA' law.
Okay.
Because I had Googled it just to see what it was, and had Googled the statute of limitations on reporting because in that one interview or in that one jail call, they had Deb and Chris were talking to Stephan about leaning toward a statute of limitations. And I just
Uh-huh.
looked it up, and then I started cross referencing some information. And I thought, wait, I've heard that before. So I went back and was reviewing some other videos and found it and got to looking into it. If they've mentioned it, they're more than likely going to use it. And when I say they, I'm talking about
Yeah.
the prosecutors.
Yeah.
And I hope
So
I hope
yeah, if
they
they,
do.
yeah, I would think so too. Yeah. Rio, thank you for the $2 super sticker. I really appreciate the support. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I was trying to let this load real quick because sometimes it takes a minute. So Donna's Law is a law to protect children from pedophiles in Jacksonville, Florida. A law that eliminates the statute of limitations for sexual assault against minors that Florida legislator earlier this year was signed by Governor Ron DeSantis. The bill, nicknamed Donna's Law, is in the House after Orlando resident Donna Hendrick, a victim of alleged sexual abuse by a former high school teacher in the early 1970s, passed unanimously in both the House and Senate, according to a news release. State Representative Tracy Davis, who's a Democrat out of Jacksonville, sponsored the bill in the House and Senate. Linda Stewart from Orlando was the bill's Senate sponsor. So basically, there's no statute of limitations on the like in this particular instance, this girl was abused in the 70s, and so that person could be held accountable today, even though the statute of limitations would have already passed. So they're talking about using this. That would tell me that they've got evidence going way back on Stephan, or if they're using it in his case, that they would have evidence going way back on Stephan that they're going to use against him. So that would mean there's more victims.
That's what it sounds like to me with what I heard.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to verify it, but yeah.
Well, let's hope they use it. With that many images separate from Maddie's images, I hope they use it.
I do too.
And I hope those victims' families use it as well. I hope they get involved. The other victims' families start speaking up. But can you imagine how many parents don't even realize their children's images are out there?
No, I mean, the number would have to be astonishing. Leonore, thank you so much for the super sticker. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That was so sweet of you. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean,
and I
a
know
lot of
this
kids.
is a little.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that a lot of kids will get enticed by these predators, like, and they'll ask them to take pictures, and they don't even realize what they're doing is wrong because they're so innocent, and God only knows what's out there.
It's just been recently here local that there was a school teacher and a school superintendent terminated because the school superintendent had knowledge that a school teacher here in the neighboring state was taking pictures of his class, of his students, and then manipulating them into lolicon and then selling them on the dark web and exchanging them with other people in his peer group.
What is lolicon?
Lolicons, whenever they'll take the actual, it's kind of like the anime pornography,
Uh-huh.
and it's designed for pederast interest.
Let's hold on. Now I'm interested.
That's why I was referencing the other day in your chat about with all of his little gizmos and gadgets and his comics and all of that, with the tools that he was using to manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff was discovered in the evidence.
Lolita, which depicts a middle-aged man's dark obsession with a young girl, but Lolita Con didn't become recognized genre. In Japanese popular culture, lolicon is a genre of fictional media which focuses on young or young-looking girl characters, particularly in sexually suggestive or erotic manner. Oh, wow.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that, I mean, considering that and his obsession with whatever that shit, that manga, whatever that is, I don't know that he should be getting that in jail either.
Right. And the jail staff there probably is not aware of this.
Right.
And some of those books that she's been sending him, I have
Uh-huh.
found those books to be, I don't know, what's the right word to use here, where they've been republished with anime images.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking the other day about, how the Howling and those um horror genres that he's so interested in. Well,
Yeah.
some of these books have anime images in them now. So I'm just wondering if there's special books that she's finding to send to him.
Hmm.
I'm just speculating.
Right. It's a possible speculation. Madeline said, actually, there's one pic of Maddie sitting on a chair with her legs up and she's wearing red shoes and or lipstick. I think reminds me of Lolita from the movie. I've never seen that picture.
I haven't seen it either, but it's not surprising that it exists.
Mm-mm. Joy, I'm so sorry, honey. Yeah, these people are depraved. I think that Stephan is a lot. I think that Stephan needs to be held accountable for his part in this. I think that wanting these specific books and things is just going to feed his obsession again. And I think he's trying to tell his mom that he is the one-armed man, as his dad so eloquently put it, and that she needs to basically leave Jen alone. But I mean, I do think Jen is culpable for basically, like you guys have always said, serving her daughter up on a silver platter to him all these years.
Well, gee, I want to give Jen the benefit of the doubt about not knowing. I do. I really do want to give the woman with her mentality, with her
Mm-hmm.
mannerisms, with her personality. I want to give Jennifer Soto the benefit of the doubt that she did not know about a lot of things.
Do you think she didn't know about a lot of things?
She's grossly ignorant when it comes to certain things. She's made
Mm-hmm.
that obvious in the interview. Is she innocent? No. Is she ignorant? Yes.
I mean, yeah, I can agree with that statement, but to what extent? Like, do you think that she had a fear of the Woody Allen situation happening and referenced Madeline as having an electric complex, if she did, without knowing what he was doing when she sent Madeline up to bed with Stephan?
I think she knew about it then. Years prior, I think she was absolutely in the dark. But I think within the last year and a half or so, maybe 2 or 3 years, he was catching on.
Yeah.
She was catching on. She had her suspicions of things, whether she knew for a fact or not. As a mother, any mother would have suspicion, regardless. You're gonna have suspicion, and you're gonna put up that protective barrier there with wanting to know things, wanting to communicate more with your child, especially if it's a female child.
Right.
We all know parents of little boys, it's a little bit harder to communicate, a mom to communicate with them when it comes to that level of events taking place deemed as abuse. Little girls are a little bit more open in sharing things, unless there's an apparent proof of it.
Right. Hey, Jennifer, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you doing? It's so nice to speak with you.
I'm good.
Hey,
I'm
Jeff.
good. It's nice to have you up.
Thanks. I just wanted to come up and join the conversation because this case is probably the one that has gripped me the most, and I've been paying attention to true crime for many years now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it's because there's so many unanswered questions,
Right.
and this one, I'm really hoping that there's just that the police have a lot more than we know. So that,
Mm-hmm.
I found that what the officer said to Chris interesting about basically everything on the phone kind of laid out the whole case for them.
Right.
And I'm hoping that at trial we'll clear up all these questions that we all have.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of unanswered questions until the trial. I mean, even at that, I don't know that we'll ever get the truth. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think so, because neither of them, I think, are going to ever be truthful. And even if they were, how are we going to know? They've both told Jen and Stephan, they've both told so many lies.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know the full extent. But with Maddie, one of the things I was thinking of, and I'm not an expert on any of these drugs, but I know there are some that you can give people, and I know this happens. Unfortunately, I've heard about this with other cases of, usually with adults, like the stuff they slip into drinks. I can't remember what that one's called, but where it can have an effect where you forget.
GHB.
Yeah, but
GHB and
you're not.
ketamine.
Yeah, but you're not knocked out. You're not unconscious. So I was wondering, like, how many of the the CCM that the police have that they were talking about where she didn't appear asleep, was she on something that made her not really remember what happened either.
Yeah, and I went with that for a long time, but then you have those damn images that she drew, and she drew,
Right. And I
yeah.
was thinking she was starting to remember some stuff, get like flashbacks or something.
Yeah.
And that might be where those, and she's trying to work all this stuff out, and that's why she was drawing those.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's just just a thought. I have no
Right.
idea. I could be totally wrong. I don't know. It was just something that occurred to me.
Right. Well, that's what we do here. We talk about these things,
Yeah.
and even though we could be all wrong about it, but speculate.
Yep.
It's possible.
Well, that's just like those evidence in photos from the apartment. Without that right there has stuck with me in my brain about the all of the laxatives, all of the herbal supplements, and
Uh-huh.
all of that in that room. That
Yeah.
has stuck with me because I grew up in the
Yep.
country. I grew up with homeopathic remedies and things like that, and I'm looking at those images and I'm thinking, with the rumors going around that this child was expecting another child, what the possibilities were that they weren't giving her this stuff to have something sporadic happen.
Yep.
It's possible. I think the laxatives were given to her over a long period of time, but I'm really into herbal remedies as well. And I don't know, you probably could make a concoction for that to happen out of all of the stuff I have, but they're not into, I mean, she's very much on pharmaceuticals, so it would be odd for her to have the right combination of plant of medicinal herbs to cause that to happen. I would definitely find that suspicious considering how many pharmaceutical medications she's on. She's not somebody that's into that, would be my thought on that. Cecil Hotel, thank you so much for the support. Cecil Hotel said, good job. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for that. I didn't see
Well,
the herbs that she had there, so I would have to see which one specifically she had. But I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, we run that speculation too. Is that the whole reason she called Stephan there that night? Because she had the next 2 days off, so was something going on, and they were trying to make it stop, and something went terribly awry that night.
the reports that I've seen, I've not seen where there was that hormone present in her autopsy report. Have y'all seen anything?
Somebody sent me something that said that hormone was present, but I don't know where to find it. I would have to find it and validate it. If y'all have seen that, please send me an email. But yeah, somebody sent me an email and said that the hormone was present, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor, and I feel like if that hormone was definitively there, we would know about it. You know what I mean? Like we would know that she was definitively with child.
or had been with child.
Yeah.
It's still going to show up.
Right. Yeah, for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll show. I mean, if it's present in that toxology and autopsy report that hormone was present in her blood work, that's proof that at one time she was,
Mm-hmm.
or she was at the time.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine that's something
And
that'll
that,
come out in the trial.
Yeah.
You know,
That they would have to tell. I mean, yeah, that because that's going to be a possible motive.
right.
that's going to be a multiple motive.
Yeah, yeah. Again, if there was a motive, I mean, it could have just been, yeah, an accident.
Yeah.
You know, and I've thought about that too. And, you know, if there was an accident, there's no way they're going to call the police. Because how are they going to cover everything else up? You know, especially if it happened, you know, during or after he did whatever he did that night. Well, then there's going to be physical evidence on her of, you know, of abuse. And, you know, they're going to look into, excuse me, you know, a healthy kid, 13-year-old just passing away doesn't happen. There's going to be an autopsy and all this stuff, you know. They're going to be looking into stuff.
Yep.
So I you know, even if they could have just, if it was an accident, they could have just freaked out because they're like, well, we can't call anybody because, you know, what if they find out? They're probably going to find out. So now we got to stage this whole thing and try to make it look like, you know, somebody abducted her.
Right. And that goes back to what I was saying, that, like, you know, they've given us all the puzzle pieces that we need to make this make sense. And in those puzzle pieces, they talk about the parent coins, which they released.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about, like, in a lot of the interviews, her cycle is referenced and being on the same cycle with her friend. When was her last period? I know you kept track of that. Did you look at the pregnancy test? So I'm wondering if they're trying to tell us that she was, and that is the motive.
Mm-hmm. I picked up on that a long time ago.
Cara gifted 10 Speculation Station memberships. Thank you so much for that. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. I really appreciate that. Those went to Eminem, Alexandra, Whippy, Wedding Shoes, Peta, Frazier, She Joe, Narcos Clips, Natalie Farrock, Order in the Court. I like that name. And Teresa Mauger. If you were gifted from Cara and you are aware, please tell her thank you, and I'll grab the crazy train and pick y'all up on the way to Speculation Station. Thank you so much, Cara. I really appreciate that. That was so sweet of you. But yeah, it seems like they're trying to tell it. I mean, I know that Florida has sunshine laws and you submit a FOIA and you get a lot of information, but why was the parent coin thing not redacted? Like it again, it makes me think they're giving us all the puzzle pieces we need. We just have to figure out how they go together. I think they're trying to tell us that she was with child. I don't know. Or he got upset about the boyfriend, the crush thing. I mean, there's just so many avenues you could go down.
Well, was it not said that he was not only a narcissist, but had OCD?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody has blatantly said he has narcissism or OCD. They probably have. He does seem to have that. Oh, yeah. The friend said that he had OCD, but you wouldn't be able to tell because his room was such a mess. So it was only about certain things. And I'm sure somebody said he's a narcissist. So, yeah, I could definitely see that.
Well, see, OCD is not just one spectrum. You can have chaos, organized chaos, and still be OCD.
Right. Yeah, and being with narcissist before it, I mean, they especially if she told him she had a crush on somebody and he looked at that, I mean, his whole world would have fell apart because he had trained this child from the age of 5, 6, 7, or 8, one of those, and to be his wife one day. And if he had trained her up to be that, yeah, as nasty and upsetting as that is. And then she said, you know, I want this to stop. I don't want you need to stop. I don't like you. I like somebody else. He definitely could have snapped and accidentally choked her to death or broke her neck.
he, a few days ago, I made the comment about that, about the Woody Allen statement, and what all was said. You would expect the Woody Allen statement to be applicable if Maddie was over the age of 18. She's a child.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it might be immoral or unethical, but to some people's views. But she's a child. She's not an adult after the fact.
Right.
This is straight up pedophilic abuse resulting in death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the Woody Allen situation, we listened to the phone calls about how he abused those girls. So even if she did end up marrying him, it was due to abuse, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure.
We're not talking about a Jerry Springer episode, that's for sure.
Yeah.
No offense to Jerry Springer, he did have some good stuff.
Oh, yeah, but it was staged. I wish this was staged. God, I wish this was staged.
Oh.
But again, that has bothered me with the images of all of the stuff sitting on the shelf. It has bothered me with all of his little gizmos and gadgets that was sitting on the shelf, his little collections that he shared with Maddie, his little role playing games that he was so obsessed over. The vapes. The vapes have definitely got my attention because he had a specific vendor that he preferred. So what was this specific vendor that he preferred actually providing? That's been a big question in my head.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
They had a specific vendor for their vaping. I'm just curious as what this specific vendor was providing.
They had a specific gender for the vape?
Vendor.
Vendor. Oh, vendor. Okay, sorry. I thought you were saying gender. So I was confused. Yeah, the online e-smoker online is the name of it. Yep. And supposedly they only had a prune flavored one that he liked, which is also weird. That's interesting. I hadn't went down that avenue.
Oh, I know here in my state, they've been busting those vape vendor. I can't even talk now. She's putting out what I'm saying.
I'm sorry.
They have been raiding and busting those vape vendors for carrying products used for certain activities, not that's deemed a illicit substance. Let's put it that way.
Mm. Yeah, I know she was getting THC in a vape form, and she had it in a pill form, and I'm assuming she smoked it out of a bowl or something too. I wonder if you could, like, I wonder if anybody's been caught with like some sort of GHB form of in a vape, like where you could just pass your vape to a friend and it actually has GHB and they're smoking it and it has the same effect as the date rape.
Yes, ma'am. And fentanyl has been found in them as well.
Yeah, a lot of people smoke that.
Oh.
Interesting. Yeah, we might learn about that at trial too. It is weird to me that and I've talked about that before. They mentioned the vape store a lot and like how there's cameras around the vape store. It definitely seemed like Jen was trying to be like, oh well, here you can get him on camera. Here's the alibi, but she never mentions where Maddie might have been on camera.
I'm just wondering if Cassini hasn't pulled. I know they pulled their phone records, but I wonder if they pulled the phone records of every place that was named in those interviews about the timestamp that they created.
The different places.
What's to say that they didn't call them to give them a heads up? Maybe that was part of the delay in placing Maddie where she was found.
Yeah, and I've wondered if he, through the emails and stuff, if he was emailing people that he had been trading with, telling them to delete their drives and things like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think he was
Yeah.
I think he was trying to delete his Google account and simultaneously contact these other predators that he had contact with, and trying to get them to delete all their evidence as well.
Do a fire sale on everything.
Hmm. Why?
That's how they roll.
What do you guys think about where he placed her body? Do you think that he had hopes of alligators getting her? Because that's been a big thing in the case.
Yeah,
No,
I think so. I think that could be. I don't think he meant
I don't.
to originally leave her where he did.
Hmm.
I don't think that's where he originally put her. I think that's where she was moved to.
Okay, so we have okay, I've never mapped it out, but I think the guy saw him that day changing his tire right there.
Yep.
Um I mean, and I'd have to map it out, but I know that like there's preserves close by where there's alligators, so I wonder if maybe he just didn't take her
Hmm.
far enough back or something. I don't know.
Well, did he not go back to the site several
He
times within a matter of days?
He did, but with him being
Well,
sitting there changing the tire, that makes me think that's where he was, or he placed her. Maybe he went back to try to move her somewhere else, but never did. Or he went back to fantasize and feel his sick obsession, considering she was face down in the dirt in the prone position. I mean, the ludicrous song from back in our day. What that song says, I mean, I'm wondering if some of that
Uh-huh.
was going on. Heaven forbid.
I mean, I'm just speculating again, but what's to
Right.
say that this wasn't a smut method
Could be.
or a
I,
snuff?
yeah,
yeah.
I've thought about the snuff film scenario, and I mean, I don't know unless he had fetish. I mean, and this is going to be graphic, and I'm sorry for this is going to be a trigger warning, but like if he had got to the point to where he fetishized with her about that, and they made films like that pretending to do something like that, did it go too far at this time and she end up deceased? And then after she's deceased, yeah, did he go back? I mean, there's people would pay for that too, even the necrophiliac aspect of it. I mean, with that masturbation cream in his book bag, I don't know what the fuck else he was doing with masturbation cream in his book bag other than sitting in his car at parks and schools and doing God knows what and
Oh,
going to visit her body.
Hmm.
Why else would you have masturbation cream in a book bag that you carry with you everywhere? Like, that doesn't make sense.
and that wasn't a cheap dollar store brand either.
Yeah.
So they're heavy spenders with their activities.
Yep.
The hair products, what was found in the book bag, that stuff ain't cheap.
Nope.
No, y'all told me that there was over $100 worth of shampoo in the damn shower, and I didn't believe y'all till we looked it up. It was like over $400 worth of shampoo and conditioner and
That's
little ball.
crazy.
Y'all, I'm
Not
so cheap.
not
I
to
make my own soap. Like, never in the world would I be buying some mess like that.
Oh no.
even the stuffed animals in her that was shown in her area. The Pikachu, those stuffed animals and stuff, those things are not cheap. The Disney collectibles, the Tamagotchis,
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
little that stuff is not cheap. They live high on the hog and eat low on the belly.
right.
Yep.
And for them to find all of that CSAM material and everything, they were trying to uphold an expensive image. So they were making
Yep.
bank off of something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and unless Stefan convinced Jen that he was getting all this money by like stealing from his parents, she had to have known for that reason alone.
Well,
Because where else would the money come from?
Right, and he did say that he stole, he sold the Rolexes and he got an inheritance from his grandpa and he was stealing money, but I can almost guarantee you Stephan didn't buy the damn shampoo in the shower and Stephan didn't buy
Right.
the new car that she's driving, and Stephan ain't paying for that Botox, so she's got to be involved in getting some kind of money from somewhere.
Yeah. I think she just didn't want to be involved in any of the, actual work,
Yep.
so to say, whether it was, the physical part or the selling. She just said, you know what, I don't, I'll let you do it, but I'm not going to my involved in it.
Right, that goes back to where her making the Woody Allen comment and all that. I think
Uh-huh.
it became, if y'all are doing this anyway and you can make all this money off of it, then yeah, film it. I'm not going to be involved in it. Maybe she even said, I don't really agree with it, but if this is something y'all are going to do anyway and you can make money off of it, why not? Like, just give me a cut of the money. Again, I'm speculating. I was not there. I
Yep.
did not see. I do not know, but I mean, I think it's definitely feasible.
For critical thinking.
Do what?
I said, we're just critically thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Gothic. I don't know. We won't know a lot of things until trial, but even then, I don't think we'll ever know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I just keep hoping
Well,
and praying that if Jen did know, at the very least, something will eventually be found so that they can also bring her to justice. Because if she did, she needs to be held accountable as well.
Right.
well, with as overwhelming and as bittersweet as the situation is, it is absolutely bringing more awareness to crimes against children and for parents to be more familiar and more involved with their children's lives and who they
Mm-hmm.
it's a sad situation, but it's got its rewards at the same time. It's all in how you look at it and how you utilize the information being shared.
I can't hear you. I heard part of it. It's all on how you utilize something, but I don't know if you're like really far away from your mic.
I'm using an earbud.
Oh, okay.
I said
Sorry.
it's all on how people utilizing the information and that's being shared and bringing the awareness so that more parents are involved with their children and protecting them.
Right. Absolutely. I hope that it does bring awareness.
Well, ladies, it's actually been a pleasure talking to you, but I'm going to hop off here and start preparing supper.
Okay, love. Yeah, I'm probably
Right.
gonna go too, so I can get dinner done as well. I appreciate you coming up.
It was
Well, I
nice talking with
appreciate you
you.
having me. You
Yeah.
too. Y'all have a great evening. I'll
You
go back
too.
and chat for a few minutes. Uh-huh.
Okay. You too, love.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Um, do you have I don't know. What do you think about Deb and Chris, Jennifer?
Oh God. Do you really want to know?
Do you,
they're
go ahead.
wow, they're pieces of work, man, especially Deb. I
Yeah.
think more so than Chris, but yeah, she's very unself-aware, isn't she? Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling how she just, even though she, on the one hand, says, she knows that her son did these things, or at least the CSAM, but she's just blaming everybody else for it.
Yeah.
It's insane. I can't even fathom, like, wow. Yeah, and I mean, I saw that interview they did on, what was it? That
Hidden True Crime.
Hidden True Crime, thank you. And even at that time, before all these calls came out, I still just, I don't know. I wasn't 100% buying it. It
Right.
felt to me, and I don't know these people, I could be wrong, but it felt to me more like a, a publicity thing.
Yep.
Just like, Chris said one time to Stephan about getting out in front of it, that's
Yep.
what it felt like, that, oh, it's more to save face than anything else. And I've picked up through, because I've listened to everything, all the police interviews, everything, multiple times, and I've picked up with the both of them that things like image seems to be very important, and money, and
Yep.
things like that. So, yeah, it just seems like, yeah, they're more concerned about how they look and how their son looks than the truth.
Yep, even in the jail calls, they're like, why don't, if you aren't the one who did this, then why don't you, say who did,
Mhm.
even if it's not just for you, but for the family. Like, they're
Yeah,
very much about appearances and
yeah,
saving face. Yep, I agree.
yeah. And I think all that, I think all of that added to Stefan being a failure to launch, not taking responsibility type.
Yep. I mean,
Um,
he never had to. You wouldn't if you've never
right.
been made to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if, again, I don't know. I'm just,
Speculate.
speculating here. But if, Deb did pay some people off for some of Stefan's bad deeds, and if maybe Chris just didn't know about it.
I think so. I
But
can see it.
yeah, when they're talking about stuff like that too on the phone, it almost felt sometimes like we're going to talk about these things because we know it'll come out, and then we're going to clear all this stuff up because we're so worried about how we look.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me, I mean, I'm a mom. That blows my mind. I wouldn't. It'd be the last thought in my head.
Right.
What? I don't even know if I could handle talking to my kid. If they,
Right.
I would probably be in hysterics between crying and yelling at them and telling them they need to, just tell the truth, whatever it is. And,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The things these people say, especially Deb, mostly Deb,
Right.
is, there are times where Chris gets real quiet and it's like, or Deb will get real quiet. And it's like, I don't think they're on the same page there.
Yep. And you can see it. Yeah. I mean, God, heaven forbid, you be a parent dealing with this, but I damn
Oh
sure
God, I
wouldn't.
hope not. But yeah.
Yeah, I would be, I don't even know that I could talk to my child either for a long time. And then when I
Right.
finally could, I damn sure wouldn't be like, well, it was her time to go. And
Oh God, no.
Maddie was having issues and arguing with her mom and all. I mean, come on, man.
Oh, I know. That the whole
Yeah.
yeah, the whole Deb needs to and Stefan needs to keep God's name out of their damn mouths. Sorry about that, but
No, I mean, I agree.
oh,
Nothing about them is of God.
I'm sorry?
Nothing about them is of God or
No, not at all. To me, it seems very obvious Stefan's full of crap with all that anyway.
yeah.
It's all for his mommy's benefit,
Yep.
but I think Deb believes it, or she thinks she believes it. But half the stuff she says doesn't make any damn sense. And then she's telling him to read the Bible because this part means this and this part, and I'm like, but you don't understand basic stuff. Like, God didn't put those thoughts in your son's head.
Nope.
Why would you say that? Like, if you think you're this great, informed Christian, why? Why
Right.
wouldn't she have said the devil put that in your head?
Yeah. 100%.
Like, I just, it blows my mind. I'm like, lady, come on.
I don't know. I think it might be for her benefit more than his.
What might be?
That she's the talking about God and trying to explain to him
Oh,
religion. And I think
yeah, that could be.
make herself feel better. But
Probably.
and then she says shit like, well, you don't even need to worry about the Old Testament. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like, dang.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Just, oh my gosh.
Commandments, the let my people, none of that, the 10 plagues, 10 commandments, all the things. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a piece of work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was oh my gosh. Ooh, it's an interesting family there.
Yeah, and I definitely think she's why he is the way he is.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Minus the pedo part, because that's, who knows. But we don't even really understand why some people are like that to begin with. But yeah, everything else, for sure. I mean, at some point, your kid's an adult. You should have just kicked him out of the damn house.
Right.
Been like, you know, bye, figure it out. You're an adult.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you invite them over for dinner once a week or something to make sure that they get fed, but you know, at some point you got to just kick them out the damn nest.
Right.
And I know it's hard. Like, first of all, I don't think there's anything actually wrong with Stephan. Like, I'm not buying the brain injury thing. I've had multiple concussions in my life, and it hasn't changed my personality. And I didn't have to be like, very similar where it's like they just let you go. They go, yeah, we think you have a concussion. Everything looks okay, and this is the stuff you do. And I actually did have some lingering symptoms, but it was like brain fog and things like that, and
Yeah.
so it was more on the physical side of things, and I did go for specialty therapy for that kind of stuff. But and outside of that, especially if you don't have, and I'm sure that his defense will have him talk to psychologists to find out, but I don't think he's got anything wrong with him. And I've got family who, a family member who does, who's as far as we can figure, a paranoid schizophrenic.
Uh-huh.
And, this, unfortunately, even though this stuff started happening while they were still a minor, this is way back when, so the parents didn't really do anything about it. And then as an adult, the mother very similarly was just always trying to get him out of, take him back into the house a million times. He couldn't hold down a job, even though he managed to go to college, but could never hold down a job. Didn't really have friendships or relationships, and just struggled his whole life, because of it. So on the one hand, I kind of understand, that, and them just being afraid, but it's a little different when you got somebody with a very serious mental, health issue, where sometimes they're not even all there.
Right. There would be other symptoms, in my opinion, other than the
yeah. And he couldn't be doing all the stuff he was doing for so long
Nope.
either. Like, there's no, dude.
He's
Absolutely
very
not.
calculated and manipulative.
Oh, for sure.
I
For
don't
sure.
see that being possible with a traumatic brain injury like that.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, and him not being able to hold a job and stuff because he's lazy. He doesn't want to.
Because he never had to.
He never had to. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think Jen was probably, in my opinion, it's probably very similar in that regard, where I think even with whatever issues she has, she could probably have a job and a career, but she just would rather, get disability and only work part-time at the most if she has to.
Yeah, I see that. For sure.
And again, with all her lying, it's hard to know, like, she says she's got that personality disorder. What was it? Bipolar.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, she might, but if we don't have any documentation of that, how do we know she really does?
Right. With her being on disability, there's something going on, but
something's going on. But again, yeah. But what is it? And there's so many different things that are symptom based too, that you can't run a test on, right?
Yeah.
So especially when it comes to mental health, that and again, if she could be very cunning and calculating too, and she could be somebody who figured out a way to work the system, and was able to convince doctors that, oh, I have this problem, until she got what she wanted.
Yeah.
The diagnosis she wanted. And then that's all you need once you got that diagnosis. Oh my God, I can't talk. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Once the doctors say, yeah, you have this, that's what you take to get your disability.
Yeah, I could see that happening. She's also, she shows, she's they're both very immature and very much above their means. So I think that plays a part too.
Yep, for sure.
It's a very weird family and
yes,
people that are surrounding this child before she died, and
yeah, the poor girl.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
No, and I keep wondering too, with the counselor at school, if she had met with her more, because it takes a while, to build that rapport. and especially for kids to get comfortable enough that if there had been more time, she might have eventually opened up to the school counselor.
Yeah, she seemed to be making progress with her. And then
Mhm.
the one time she finally makes progress, Jen keeps her out of school for 5 days. And again, you
Yeah.
can't tell me that, like, okay, she goes to the counselor and has these feelings and thoughts and says, things like this hurts, I don't like this, and it's the chaos and all of that. And the counselor talks to Jen and she holds her out of school for 5 days. I really think she held her out of school for 5 days because she was like, you need to talk to me about the relationship between you and Stephan, like, because that has to be kept in the house, and you're getting a little bit, if it's bothering you, we need to talk about it or something. I think the conversation, just speculating, but
Yeah.
I think the conversation was more like, you got to figure out how to not let on that you're upset about it, or if it's upsetting you, then I need to say something to Stephan or something like that for her to be out of school for 5 days. I think Jen knew, and I think Jen got scared in that moment, and that's why Maddie was out of school for 5 days. I don't know though.
Yeah, I agree too. And I think it's weird. Like, I don't know what the protocol is, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. I mean, if somebody out there is a school counselor or works in the schools could tell us, but not that it would have probably made a big difference, but if the counselor would have gone, and told somebody about that, just a heads up, this seems kind of weird. It might be nothing, but
Yeah. See, like, even the counselor found it weird, and I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, it's just weird to me that all that happens and she keeps her out of school for 5 days.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
trying to cover, I don't know.
She's definitely was, yeah, trying to, I do think that Jen was trying to cover something up or do something
Yeah.
during that time. I don't think Maddie was like, oh, just coincidentally happened to be sick.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
I'm not letting her go to friends' houses and things. Like, I think Jen was
Yes.
scared that she would say something.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. There's probably a lot of control going on,
Mm-hmm.
and it was, mentally, emotionally controlling and not physical. So it's easier to hide because there's no marks to see.
Yep.
But that can be just as devastating to people, especially a kid, to control people, that way. She might
Mm-hmm.
have been just so terrified to say anything to anybody. And, she was always having those panic attacks, and everything else. And yes, she was diagnosed with ADHD, but again, I would question, okay, how was she diagnosed? Because there's different ways of doing it. So they have checklists that
Mhm.
is really just symptom based, and they have parents fill them out and the teachers fill it out. And then they bring it to the doctor, which is just like your pediatrician,
Yeah.
and they will, they'll look at it and they'll sign it off and maybe send you to a therapist or whatever. But you can also go a route where you get a lot more detailed look, where you go to, it's I always forget, pediatric neurologist, I want to say, or
Yeah.
psychiatric neurologist, where they do actual testing. They don't just do checklists of symptoms, and they go through a whole barrage of tests, and then they look at all of that data and put it together, and that's how they figure out what's going on with the child,
Yeah.
basically. Because ADHD it's a neurological issue, and the brains are wired differently. But again, so many symptoms cross over that it can very much look like trauma. I thought I had ADHD, and I went and I got those tests done, all those very detailed tests done, and it turned out that's not what I had. I just had complex PTSD, not just, but I complex PTSD instead. But there's so many similarities looking outward just from the symptoms that you couldn't really tell without going into more detailed testing what was really happening. But it's really important to have the correct diagnosis to get the right treatment, because they're different. They vary
Yeah.
completely. There's these different types of therapies completely for ADHD. It's not just medication based. There's like a brain therapy they do with
Right.
computers, and then a physical one, and then of course all the talk therapies and stuff. But yeah, so I mean, I question how was Maddie really diagnosed, because there's a possibility that really what she was exhibiting was just trauma.
Yeah, I think so.
And if they don't get that detailed testing done, it could very easily get misconstrued as ADHD.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you have the mother telling the
Yep.
doctors certain things. The doctors are going to go, oh, yeah, okay, sure. Totally makes sense. And they ask you about different, traumatic things. And so if, the mom's sitting there going, no, nothing like that. No. Then they're going
Right.
to go, no, there's not enough stuff here for that. So it's got to be ADHD, right? And that's what, and then she gets the medications. They put her on that, which is going to, I don't even know what that does to people if you don't have ADHD.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on which one she's on. Because the ones that will make people with ADHD slow down, if you don't have ADHD, they say that can make you hyper.
Yeah.
But then there's the ones that just really are more anxiety based, and that's just gonna make everybody more tired and more slow. But it's the right dosage for somebody with ADHD. It's just gonna bring them down to a more homeostasis level.
Yeah, and then you take into account the medication that she was on for all of that. I mean, we're all like supposed to be filled and hadn't been taken. But yeah, I think going back to her diagnosis is, I think it was definitely trauma related. And when you have a child, you rely on the parents to tell you what's going on. So Jim would have told everything. Yep. Yeah, definitely misdiagnosed, in my opinion.
Oh, mine too. I would not be shocked at all if it was all trauma based. The poor kid. Oh man.
So sad.
Oh, it's horrifying, especially for how long it went on. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah. And I can't even talk. Jen's house under her nose, and that's why it's so hard for me, because you get these comments like the Electra complex. If that happened, she did definitely say the Woody Allen comment, and
yep.
This is going on in your house. You're sending this child up to bed with this man and telling me at the same time that you had no idea.
Right.
It's hard for me to believe.
Yeah. And I mean, even if she was, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, she's on all these, Jen's on all these medications, and she's, and yeah, that's true too. But I don't, if she was that dependent on those medications, how was she driving around? How was she getting, driving Maddie to school regularly?
No. Yeah.
Like, if she was that bad, she'd be in the house most of the time.
In the hospital, not able to drive. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, she'd just be literally passed out most of the time. Not just only at night.
Right. Yeah.
God. And I have no idea what the medication she's on for her bipolar is, but I'd have to imagine that even on that, if you're given a shock of finding out your daughter's been abused for all these years, showing a picture and everything, that you're going to have some kind of big response.
Yeah. Normal people would.
Not just this weird, quiet thing that she did. It was bizarre.
Yeah.
And I think it also sadly goes back to showing that, in my opinion, I don't think she really cared about her daughter.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot, and I see it too, or that she was jealous. I mean, I don't think
that too.
We're all wrong, or that's out of the realm of possibility for all of us to think that, because it's not just like one person thinking it. It's a lot of people, even Deb was talking about it. And that's sad for Maddie.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people are like, oh no, she was a good mom, but it's like, yeah, but we don't really know what happens, inside people's homes.
No.
And even the roommates, it sounded like the roommates didn't want to be there. They were like, it sounded like they were only there to sleep for the most part.
Yep.
Like they didn't spend time there like most of us do in our homes, because it really, well, in that situation, that's kind of understandable anyway, right? Because they really only have their room. It's not their home, really.
Right.
And then any weird stuff going on at all, even if it's not to the point where you're like, yeah, I need to call somebody on this. If it's just uncomfortable, you know, they might just be like, yeah, I don't want to stay around this toxic, fighting with stuff going on with Jen and her daughter or whatever, just you can feel tension in the air or whatever.
Yep.
That doesn't mean anything, illegal's going on that you need to contact somebody for. So they might have just been, like, okay, I just don't want to be around.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah.
I believe Stephan when he talks about, that Maddie would just scream and have outbursts of crying and that Jen would
sure.
then get mad and come down on everybody and they were fighting. I mean, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
I believe that was happening. I believe the roommates did just try to stay out of it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And again, a lot of times still people don't equate any kind of abuse with like yelling and stuff. I mean, they probably never saw anybody hit Maddie, right?
Right.
So they were probably like, okay, it's none of my business.
Right.
She's not being beat, so we're good. They're
Yeah.
not starving her, like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's your place to live. So you're going to try to
Oh,
do
yeah.
everything you can to keep everybody around you happy. And like you said, if they didn't see them, hitting her or, starving her or something that's, blatantly obvious. And even they did see them in the room together and said something and were basically shut down. And so after that, it's like, well, I really don't know what to do. I mean.
Mm-hmm. And that's another weird one where, again, I feel like this is more education we need to get out is even in a situation like that, even though the mom goes, okay, yeah, thanks, you should call somebody. You
Yeah.
should call somebody and just, even if it's just anonymous, and leave, this is what I saw. This is what I know is happening there. I just wanted to have it on the record, right? Because what if they did that and then the counselor calls later with her weird thing with, this was going on when she came to see me, and then I talked to the mother, and then the girl was out of school for 5 days. I don't know if it's anything, but I just wanted to, let somebody know because it could be. Well, now you're building up enough stuff that maybe it hits, something in the system that makes them go, oh, we might need to check on this family.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
We need to get like a culture out there of just call anonymously if you have to. You can even say, I don't know if this really is anything. But I just, something about it seemed wrong to me.
Right.
Yeah, we need to start doing that more because it's understandable. Like, yeah, that counselor, it was weird, but if it was just that one thing and you don't know anything else, yeah, that could seem, I don't understand the roommate. Like, I mean, I know she said, oh, I just assumed, well, she knew Jen. So she thought, because wasn't that the lady that was like best friends with Jen's sister?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's known Jen forever, right?
Yeah.
So you're automatically going to be like, I know this person. She's okay with it. It's got to be fine.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I don't think I don't hold the roommates accountable much.
Oh no.
But yeah, I mean, you're exactly right though. If that had been on file and then the counselor called, it would have been enough to make them say, okay, let's just go out here and just talk to them or, do something. Let's just go see how things are going or whatever. And maybe her life could have been saved,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why we need to try to get people to understand you should say something to the authorities, not just the parents. And also maybe shift our thinking too. So like this roommate with Jen, instead of thinking, oh, well, I know Jen, and if she's okay with it, it's got to be fine. Think, okay, yes, I can understand you thinking that, but what if Jen's wrong?
Right.
Instead, right? It's going to be hard to make people think, well, what if you really just don't know that person? Fine, but what if that person that what if they're just wrong and they're not realizing it, they're not seeing it? So you should say something.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
I think that's a lot easier than if it's somebody because that's such a hard thing for us to wrap our minds around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it very well could be that, yeah, this person that you know they were just clueless. They really didn't know.
Yeah.
Not, I don't think that about Jen, but you know,
Right.
there are situations out there like that where, yeah.
Sorry, I got distracted. Basil had stretched his front legs out and opened his mouth and yawned, and I just love it when he
He's
does
so
that.
cute.
I got distracted for just a second. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. Do you ever, I know you talk about like gardening and stuff. Do you ever grow him his own herbs there?
I grow
The parsley and stuff.
Yeah, he has parsley and cilantro that that I grow for him. I have some sage and stuff outside now too, and then I'm growing garlic, and I'm growing a lot of different things. So yes, he enjoys it. He does not. I used to take him out to the garden and let him just run around and stuff, but he doesn't like it very much. He gets worried about the birds.
Oh,
he doesn't like the birds. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. If they scare him or what, but like in my house, the windows are usually open because there's screens on them, and he'll sit at the window and look out the window all day. But yeah, I'm gonna probably have to go for the day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming up and talking though. I mean, I feel like we got somewhere, and I do think if more people would, call and just make a note and say, I don't know if it's anything, but maybe we should say something, maybe some could be saved.
Yeah, and like, they keep saying you could do it anonymously. So, if you're not sure what you saw and you're not comfortable going on record, just do it anonymously. It's
right.
Because I do believe that's how the system is supposed to work. If they get enough, calls on someone, they're supposed to look into it.
Yep.
And again, if it really is nothing, and you call and you leave there's only one thing sitting there, no one's gonna come out. It's just gonna sit there forever, and it's nothing.
Right.
Great. No big deal.
Yeah. It did. If there is something that a couple people are calling, that somebody's going to come out and a child could be saved.
Exactly. Yep. Or an adult. I mean that one case recently about that poor man, because he's in his 30s now, but that the stepmom locked him in the house in Michigan for like 15 years or whatever it was, or more than that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think I've seen some things about it, but I haven't looked into it.
Yeah, and he set fire to the house to get the firefighters to come so that he could be rescued. And she was like, this guy was like 5'9" and like 60 something pounds. She was also like, oh my gosh, it was horrible, and like people like the neighbors didn't even know the guy lived there. But there was some people who were like, oh, I saw what they thought was like an old elderly person or something in the window upstairs, a few times, and they looked, people were like, oh, I they thought maybe he had cancer or something.
Oh, wow.
But they're like, oh, but I never saw him outside, or, and it's like, again, like you could have just called and left a, if you get multiple people calling about, seeing a person that they think they might need a check on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what if it is somebody who's elderly and stuff, and it turns out they're fine? All right, great. Then they're fine.
Right. But somebody has checked to make sure that's what's
Yep. Yeah. It's crazy. You never know what's going on. So yeah, if you see something weird, just let somebody, of official capacity know.
Yep.
And again, just do it anonymously. That's what I would do. I would definitely be anonymous.
Yep.
Just in case I was wrong. But yeah. I look back now, especially when I was younger, and I think about things and I'm like, oh my gosh, was that something? Should I have called somebody and like,
yeah,
told them? Because I was just thinking about it, even like 15, 20 years ago, I don't think I wouldn't even have known what to do.
Right.
And now too, just things that like sometimes, like looking back, I was like, oh, that seemed weird, but I didn't know why.
Yeah.
But now with more information that I've learned from, listening to true crime stuff, and that I've learned a lot of stuff where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
now I know.
Yeah, and you know, I've had situations in my life. God knows, I've had a multitude of situations where I'm like, yeah, I probably should have done that differently, or you know, thought that maybe I should have called somebody. But, you know, I mean, I think if we know now, even if it's just from this point moving on, that if you see something, say something, you know, you're doing better, you're doing good. So
Yeah, and I hope it's a cultural shift. You know, I think it's for those of us who are in the true crime, you know, community. We've learned and are learning a lot of stuff, and you know, I think we got to figure out a way to bring that to the masses. Because
right,
you know, we're really into this stuff, so we're in a certain niche, certain community. You know, it's just like, you know, going back to the whole, you know, juries not having a hard time finding untainted juries because there's so many people that don't don't consume this stuff.
right. Yeah, a lot of people don't know
Hmm.
the things we come across. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, but it's important. You know, I feel like it's better than burying my head in the sand.
Yeah,
Especially, you know, being a mom, having kids. There's so much stuff that like I've been able to. I've been able to sit down and talk with them about stuff. I learned like language to use and like feeling how to do it.
yeah,
You know, like our oldest went downstate this year, so you know, is going to be at a hotel with other kids and, you know, and teachers. And so we, you know, my husband and I sat him down, and my husband just sat there, really. I talked. I did all the talking
yeah,
about, you know, and not even so much what was expected of him because he already knows he's a good kid, but it was the uncomfortable, you know, talk of like, okay, you know, there are bad people out there. You know, we've talked about in a more simplistic way when he was younger
yeah,
about things, but then we had to get into like, I'm sure your coaches and stuff are good people. And if they weren't, if they had a record, you know, they wouldn't be hired and blah blah blah. But sometimes people don't know until they get caught. So, and even the other teenagers, you know, look, you know, just because they're other teenagers doesn't mean it's okay. And you know, went through a whole bunch of stuff, and then you know, it's so funny. These kids, they're like, oh, okay,
yeah. Like no
like,
big
do
deal.
you got any questions? No. Oh,
Yep.
well, okay, we'll have fun. And then he leaves. And my husband looks at me and goes, yeah, that was really good. You did a really good job. I was like, I told him, like, seriously, this is, I wouldn't have been able to do that before I started listening to true crime and learning from people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You learn a lot. I've learned a lot.
And it was really uncomfortable for me.
Yeah. It
Like
gets
I said,
hard.
my son was just kind of like, okay, sure.
Yeah. They usually are the kids. They're usually just like, yep, okay, whatever. And then
Yeah.
we're like, that was weird.
Yeah. Like, well, I'm sweating bullets. I gotta go change my shirt now.
Right. Mhm. Yeah. I don't know. Deb is just, I don't know. I usually go take a walk after my lives and stuff. I'm probably gonna have to go take a walk because
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I can't with Deb.
Man, it would be fascinating to see what a psychologist would think of her.
Oh Lord, yeah. I would love to see a psychologist break down just these, like, you know, her in general, these
Oh
jail
yeah,
calls and the hidden true crime. I would
yeah.
love to see that. I would love to see what that was and how it affected Stephen growing up because it absolutely did.
Hmm.
Can't convince me otherwise.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yep, 100%. There was, yeah, and you know, people were. Chris wasn't there a lot when he was growing up, and that weird thing she put in the divorce papers about Stefan being her best friend or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely an unhealthy emotional
Yep.
relationship going on there, and
Yep.
I've
She wrote mother and best friend on the court
oh,
document.
gross.
Yeah.
That's so gross, cringy, and like you don't even. She doesn't even realize like what that's totally inappropriate to put down and unnecessary. What are you doing? Why? Like she's oblivious to it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, first of all, I love my kids. We get along well for the most part, obviously, but um, you know, you got to be a parent, so they don't always like that. But outside of that, um, you know, I try to to balance things out with my kids. You know, I mean, I understand they're different people, so like I kind of parent them each a little differently depending on what they need and don't need. But you know, I'm not interested in having my kids be my best friends.
Right.
You know, there's going to be plenty of time for that when they're adults.
Right.
If
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
that's
You can't be their best friend.
no. I mean, when they're all grown up, yeah, sure, great. That would be awesome. But yeah, that's just, oh, lady. So yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if you know Deb doesn't have a lot of close people in her life, and probably didn't as Stephan was growing up too, and so she probably emotionally leaned on him way too much,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
which is so damaging.
It is. I mean, it damaged him.
Oh,
It
for
made him
sure.
who he is.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, I think what it also taught him was how he could easily manipulate her.
Yep.
And, you know, I think Chris talks a good talk, but then at times it's obvious he's being manipulated by Stephan too.
Oh yeah.
You know, Chris isn't as, you know, he's not as much, he thinks of him, I think Chris thinks of himself as like, oh, I've always seen through, you know, Stephan's BS and everything, and you know, but I just don't think he was as easy to manipulate as Deb.
Yeah. I
You
don't
know?
think it either. I think he wasn't falling for Stephan's shit like Deb does at all.
Yeah, and Chris might, you know, some of his might be his guilt of not being there for his son
Yeah.
while his son was growing up.
Yep. Well, I've got
Yes.
to go because
Yeah.
speculating just came in, so I've got to get started. But it was good to talk to you, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, it was wonderful talking with you. Thank you so much for letting me come up.
Yeah, I hope you have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks. Julie, I wanted to let you know that Patreon is $5 a month, but with my Patreon has like everything, like all the documents, all the audios, all of everything. Like you could join my Patreon for $5 a month and you could start your own YouTube channel and like use, like it has everything on there. And I usually upload on it daily. I haven't got all the original audios on there yet from the Stearns case, but there's like the Stearns case, there's the Leilani Simon jail calls. I mean, it's just like everything that I use on my channel is on the Patreon, except like I said, I haven't got some of the original audios uploaded yet. But from the time I started my Patreon throughout, I have anything I have used or gotten is on the Patreon. I do need to upload a couple of court documents on it, but like all the motions filed in court, the complete homicide document, the discovery, there's a lot. So like you could start your own YouTube channel with it. That's why it's $5 a month. But you know, it has so much information on it. And like, if I need something, I pull it from my Patreon. So that's what that's about. I know you were asking. So if y'all don't mind, please, give this video a thumbs up. I really enjoyed talking. I enjoyed Genevieve coming up and Jennifer coming up and talking to our speculating family in chat. I really missed y'all yesterday so very much. I will work on trying to get another jail call out. If there is one, I do believe there is some more still that I haven't got out. And I will see you all tomorrow. I hope you enjoy your Saturday. I'm going to go enjoy mine and go walking because Deb has got me stressed out. And yeah, enjoy your family. If nobody has told you, you are important, you are special, and you are loved. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Have the best night ever. Bye.
Listen up, I gotta tell you, there is something you should know. I have never really liked you at all. I cannot hide it anymore. future.